Chapter 31, Moving the Hard Disk. At 10 o'clock in the evening, Yu Jiang returned home reeking of alcohol. Then he saw a scene that made him a little terrified. His wife Li Xin and daughter Yu Jihui were not in their respective rooms. The two closest women in his life sat on the sofa in the living room at the same time tonight, staring at him with big eyes full of strange eyes. How is this going? At this moment, Yu Jiang's whine suddenly woke up. What am I doing? Or what happened? Men, especially him, a powerful man who runs the credit department of a bank. It is inevitable to act on every occasion. Sometimes, in a certain position, even if you want to clean yourself up, it is not possible. Because if you don't want to be with others, you want to be a clean spring. Then, the time until you leave this position is about to enter the countdown. After drinking and singing, sometimes the mood comes, and it is inevitable that something happens. However, Yu Jiang was outside, but he had never raised any outside room. My heart turned 1,088 times in an instant. Yu Jiang was convinced that he should have no reason to be caught by their mother and daughter. However, at the next moment, Yu Jihui couldn't help jumping up and shouting, "Dad, what's the matter with you Liang?" Ah! Yu Jiang was startled. The words he wanted to say circled around his mouth a few times, and he swallowed them abruptly. "Yu Liang? What the hell? Did this kid cause trouble? I was really scared to death." "Hui, what's the matter? Speak slowly." Yu Jihui reached out and scratched the coffee table and said, "Dad, this is a gift from Yu Liang today. Take a look." Yu Jiang lowered his head, looked around the coffee table, and then his face became a little dignified. He is really well informed, and he naturally recognizes the two brands of Chanel and Huawei. Although I don't know how much these things are worth, but based on these two brands alone, I know that they are not cheap. Li Xin stood up, handed her husband a cup of hot water, and said, "Xiaoyang came over today and suddenly gave us a gift." I checked the invoice. The 3 mobile phones are not counted. The rest of the things are worth more than $6. 100,000. How much? Yu Jiang shuddered, and a lot of hot water splashed out of his hands. 600,000, Li Xin said leisurely. Xiaoyang said that he made money by frying coins, and it was only a small change. 600,000 is a fraction? Yu Jiang couldn't help but widen his eyes. He immediately thought of the situation that day when Yu Liang held out 4 fingers. He thought it was 4 bitcoins. But thinking about it now, this 4, I'm afraid it's far more than a single digit. That's right, and Xiaoyang also said that Hui has a boyfriend, and before she gets married, he will give Hui a house. Li Xin said in a deep voice, "Husband, Xiaoyang. He really made money by speculating in coins, money?" Yu Jiang stuttered, his mind full of thoughts, but he didn't know how to speak. His only feeling is, this boy Yu Liang is really different. When returning home at night, Yu Liang threw the Huawei mobile phone to his grandparents, parents, and one each. In addition, the uncle's 3 sets, the one in his own hand, and the 2 sisters evaluated. Just split the phone. Even though Grandpa and Grandma are already 71 years old, they also have their own WeChat, and they are very easy to play with smartphones. However, the smartphones in their hands were all presented by mobile companies a few years ago. This performance? It's okay to make phone calls and log into WeChat, but don't expect too much from others. When Yu Liang sent the folding machine over, the 2 old men complained for a moment, saying that he should not spend money indiscriminately. However, when he used his mobile phone, his face was full of joy, and he wanted to show off to everyone. My grandson gave them mobile phones. Yu Hai and Hui are more sensitive to the price of mobile phones. However, after hearing the prices of bags and cosmetics, they were also a little numb. Then, Hui asked along the way how many bitcoins Yu Liang had. But Yu Liang refused to answer, which made Hui very angry. When they got home, Hui took Yi into the bedroom and didn't give her son a good look. Yu Hai sighed and followed in. Yu Liang had no choice but to enter his bedroom. He took out his Huawei laptop and began to disassemble it. Brand phones like Huawei have a warranty period when they are purchased. During the warranty period, unauthorized disassembly is not allowed, otherwise the warranty will no longer be covered. However, Yu Liang doesn't care so much. He took apart the laptop computer in 3s and 5s. All kinds of tapes and protective paper pasted inside were also torn off. After finishing all this, Yu Liang took out the desktop from the space, opened it, and carefully took out the solid-state drive. After comparing, the two hard drives are about the same size. After all, he is in this line of work, has experience and tools, and even the corresponding hard disk racks have already been prepared. After some operations, Yu Liang replaced the magic hard drive into the laptop. Power on. At this moment, his heart was beating like thunder. Chapter 32, Visual Simulation. The host spends 1 million today and can draw a lottery once. Do you want to draw a lottery? Whether, seeing this familiar scene, Yu Liang finally let out a long breath. If the magic computer is kept in the desktop, it will be inconvenient to use. However, if you move it into a notebook, it will be much more convenient to use. If you want to draw a lottery every day, you must spend 1 million. Yu Liang always thought that it is difficult to make money, but is it not easy to spend money? But in fact, if normal people don't buy valuables such as houses and cars, so it's really not easy to spend 1 million. What watches, jewelry, auctions, and the like. It is impossible to go every day. Of course, what Yu Liang wants to do the most right now is to buy a house, the kind of real mansion. But unfortunately, the money raised every day is not enough. Therefore, he can only continue to relax. Yes, the roulette appeared, and when the pointer hovered over 20 seconds later, it clicked on the skill category. Congratulations to the host, you have won the skill, Visual Simulation Single. Do you want to use it? Whether, Visual Simulation? What is this? Yu Liang hovers over the noun with the mouse. Visual Simulation. Single, it can simulate the magical hard disk interface out of thin air, so that the host can control the hard disk content under any circumstances, and no one can see it. Simulation time, 2 hours. Visual Simulation, 1 point. Looking at this introduction, Yu Liang was also a little speechless. To be honest, he has drawn so many prizes, but this time he feels a little tasteless. Under what circumstances can I use this visual simulation effect? He has a portable space, even when he is outside, and occasionally wants to use the magic hard drive. You can also find a bathroom and escape into the portable space. Why waste a lottery chance and 1 point for some visual simulation? Hey, but that's normal too. With so many lottery options, it's impossible to get something good every time. There will always be some tasteless, right? I check no. Therefore, this new item was included in Yu Liang's inventory. Next, there is the fascinating and exciting plot of exchanging bitcoins. However, it is different from the previous days. Today, Yu Liang has bank accounts in 3 different countries. Therefore, he can bind more platforms and transfer money to those accounts. Of course, in the accounts in those countries, the currencies he chooses are all local currencies: Singapore dollar, euro, and devil's dollar. After nearly an hour of operation, Yu Liang successfully sold more than 180 bitcoins. 3 foreign accounts, each with 20 coins, add up to 1.2 million US dollars worth of coins from various countries. In 9 domestic accounts, a total of more than 120 pieces were sold. That is more than 16 million renminbi. Adding the previous 20 million, the domestic deposits have now reached about 36 million. Look at the volatility chart of Bitcoin again. Yu Liang couldn't help but feel deeply strange. There are already hundreds of Bitcoins he sold back and forth. However, instead of falling, the price of Bitcoin has risen a little. Although not much, the fluctuation of Bitcoin is at least a few $100s. The more you sell, the more valuable the coins. Although Yu Liang couldn't figure out the reason, he was very satisfied with this change. Well, I already have more than 30 million on me. You can go to see the room, pick up your phone, and look at your calendar. Suddenly saw a WeChat. Healing Long. Brother Yu, don't forget the whole fish feast at the Blackfish restaurant tomorrow night. Oh, tomorrow is Saturday off. If he hadn't seen this text message, he really almost forgot it. Yu Liang. Okay, don't be surprised that I eat a lot. Almost instantly. Helena? Don't worry, my sister has the money ready. Healing Long. You also have the mobile phone? Why am I the one who prepared the money? Helena. The treat this time is to thank Brother Yu for helping you repair the computer and mobile phone. I'll invite you next time. Yu Liang burst out laughing. Yes, yes. Nana is quite obedient, so she has an excuse to treat her next time. I spent half an hour chatting with the sisters in the group. Yu Liang. It's too late. I have something to do tomorrow, so I'll go to bed first. 88. Yiling Long. Goodbye, brother Yu. Yelena. Good night, brother Yu. Yu Liang is advancing by retreating. He doesn't want to leave the impression of licking the dog in the hearts of the two girls. It takes a lot of effort to maintain that feeling of being far and close. Of course, if Yu Liang's goal is only one of them, then there is no need to be so troublesome. But, hey, people's hearts are not enough to swallow elephants. There were several real estate apps on his phone. He chose one and looked it up silently. Soon, he set his sights on a high-end real estate. Tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, find some time to go over and have a look. When I was about to sleep, I suddenly remembered something. So, Yu Liang clicked on the magic hard drive and opened a permanent garbage bin. Immediately, countless messages began to flash across the screen. Chapter 33 Up leaks in the garbage station. There are countless things in the garbage dump. These things are all items that have been forgotten by the world for various reasons. As for the value of these items, that is a matter of opinion. Although it is only a radius of 10 kilometers, the forgotten things inside are piled up like a mountain. Yu Liang even saw a lot of gold. However, these things did not attract his attention. Yu Liang remembered that he vaguely saw it last time, and it seemed that there was something called Indian Laozhan sandalwood. However, it is not an easy task to find a target among so much information. Fortunately, there is also a search bar in the garbage station. Yu Liang typed above, Laozhan sandalwood. Suddenly, most of the pictures disappeared. At this time, there are only 2 pictures left on the computer screen. They were 2 pieces of wood, one big and one small. Oh, within a radius of 10 kilometers from myself, there are actually 2 pieces of Indian Laozhan sandalwood, or the kind of ownerless thing that has been forgotten. It seems that this thing is not very precious. Yu Liang looked at it carefully and couldn't help being slightly surprised. The smaller piece of Laozhan sandalwood is not big, with a diameter of about 15 centimeters. However, another piece of old sandalwood is really not small. Dumpsters are extremely powerful, especially when detailed with pictures. Yu Liang was actually able to see the specific data of this thing. For example, this larger Laozhan sandalwood is actually a super large block with a length of more than 1 meter and a diameter of 96 centimeters. Yu Liang was really unimaginable. How could such a large piece of wood, which would definitely attract attention at a glance, be regarded as an ownerless thing? Take a look at the size and weight of this thing. Although there is only one piece of wood, it is already close to one side. Such trees, even the most common wood, can be sold for a lot of money. What's more, this is Laozhan sandalwood. Look carefully at the instructions in the dumpster. Produced in Karnataka, India, the 85-year-old old sandalwood has been felled and placed for 42 years, and the alcoholization process has been completed. Seeing this scene, Yu Liang's eyelids jumped slightly. 85 years old? For more than 40 years after felling? Adding up all this before and after, wouldn't it have reached more than 120 years? This kind of wood should be regarded as the best. Yu Liang thought for a while, turned on the desktop computer, and searched online. Soon, he found various information about sandalwood from Laozhan in India. After reading these materials, even he couldn't help being a little surprised. Indian old mountain sandalwood. In ancient times, it might not be worth much, but up to now, it is no longer something that can be summed up by top-level wood. This thing can be described as rare. The sale of precious wood is not based on volume, but basically on weight, and the higher the density and the heavier the weight, the higher the price. But in today's market, Indian Laozhan sandalwood has long been out of stock. To have one with a diameter of more than 20 centimeters is already extraordinary. However, look at the piece in the picture. This piece of wood is less than one side in size, but weighs a ton. The density is so high that it is extremely rare among trees. As for the price, I checked on the internet and the price of this thing is getting higher and higher because of its scarcity. As early as 2008, the real Laozhan sandalwood had reached a high price of 2,400 yuan per kilogram. That was the price more than 10 years ago. And now, I can't find the price at all, but I guess, given its scarcity, if the price doesn't increase by more than 10 times, I'm too embarrassed to say it. I glanced at the location of this thing. Oh, in a factory 9 kilometers away. Although Yu Liang really couldn't figure out how such a precious thing got into the factory and was forgotten. However, since this baby has been treated so unfairly, so it seems appropriate to let it see the light of day again. Yu Liang recorded the location of the old sandalwood, one large and one small, and 2 unowned pieces of Laozan sandalwood. Then, before his mother called him, he went to the bathroom, took a shower, brushed his teeth, and went to bed. In the eyes of parents, as long as their children are not married, they have not had children. Then, no matter how old he is a little child who needs someone to take care of him. Living with parents, many things are indeed very convenient. However, there are also many inconveniences. Every day at this point, Yu Liang doesn't want to face it. Having nothing to say all night, Yu Liang slept soundly. However, because of something on his mind, he woke up at 7 o'clock the next morning. Getting up from the bed, Yu Liang greeted his parents who had already woken up, ate something casually, and left in a hurry. Sure, Hui originally wanted to call her son to stop and teach her a lesson. However, when she thought of the bag her son gave her last night, sure, Hui couldn't scream anymore. She didn't really have much feeling for that bag. However, she has a great feeling about the price of that bag. Seeing her son leaving in a hurry, sure, Hui couldn't help feeling a little emotional. Hey, my son is getting older, so I can't just scold him casually. Chapter 34, Using Skills Visual Simulation. Yu Liang made a call and came to the factory area 9 kilometers away. At this moment, he felt it more and more. Not having a car is really inconvenient. Well, he originally planned to buy a car after buying a house. But now it looks like plans are about to change. Of course, the first thing to do now is to take away the big log in the workshop. 9 kilometers, if it is a straight line distance, it doesn't seem that far away. However, on urban roads, the straight line distance of 9 kilometers can easily be more than 1/3 of the distance. When Yu Liang came to this factory by taxi, he realized that it was not actually a factory. It's a factory area. However, the factory area here is already quite dilapidated. No matter how you look at it, it doesn't look like it's running. Unexpectedly, in a place 9 kilometers away from the city center in a straight line, there is such a corner that no one pays attention to. Before Yu Liang came over, he didn't really have any thoughts. He just thought about taking this piece of wood secretly. Then, you can leave. Anyway, what is in the garbage station are all forgotten and ownerless things. Even if he took it, it wouldn't affect anyone. However, when he saw this abandoned factory area, an inexplicable thought suddenly popped up in his heart. I could take down this factory area and transform it into a warehouse. Although he now has almost infinite bitcoins. In this life, it can be said that as long as Bitcoin does not crash, he will not worry about life. However, besides speculating in coins, it is better to have a more appropriate source of his money. Yu Liang's company is engaged in import and export trade. Buy and sell. Although Yu Liang is neither a salesperson nor a purchaser, as a network security engineer, it is inevitable to deal with them. I have never eaten pork, but I have seen pigs running. I may not have much talent in foreign trade. However, I can't stop myself from having a garbage dump. Within a radius of only 10 kilometers, Yu Liang discovered many precious, unclaimed objects. This kind of Indian old mountain sandalwood was a coincidence, and it was only when Lingna mentioned it that he realized it. In addition to this thing, Yu Liang also saw gold, silver, and other precious metals, as well as a large amount of cash, antiques, coins, etc. Again, this is just a garbage dump with a radius of 10 kilometers. How about expanding this range? What if he left Yongcheng and went to other places just looking for it? It can be said that Yu Liang will definitely not worry about the precious supply of goods in the future. However, if you want to sell these things, you need a fair excuse. This abandoned factory building. It's better to come early than coincidentally. Yu Liang walked in swaggeringly. To his surprise, there was no one in the factory, not even a porter. This kind of management, well, anyway, it's not his own yet, so he thinks it's not bad. So what to do now? Although the garbage station has a precise location, when viewed from home, it can only lock an approximate location. After arriving here, I want to find a specific location. You can only continue to use the magic hard drive for more precise positioning. But pulling out a notebook here. Although today's laptops are much better than desktops. However, in someone else's factory building, looking for something with a notebook, as long as Yu Liang's head hasn't been kicked by a donkey, he can't do this kind of thing. At this time, Yu Liang finally understood. So where should the visual simulation be used? When using items, it is necessary to take out the computer and operate the magic hard drive. However, when using skills, it is a matter of thought. Otherwise, how to use this sixth sense? At this time, Yu Liang's heart moved slightly. In his mind, a paragraph suddenly appeared. The host has a skill, visual simulation, single, whether to use it? Whether. Wow! This is the first time Yu Liang has used skills in the real world without being bound by a computer. It's amazing. Yes. Yu Liang opened his mouth slightly and murmured. Then, in the next moment, Yu Liang found that a screen interface appeared in front of him. This interface is generally the same as when he usually looks at the magic hard drive, without any difference. Sure enough, Yu Liang was about to open the garbage station when his heart suddenly moved. He first opened his property panel. There is no need for a mouse at all. As long as the mind moves, the interface will change naturally. Host, Yu Liang. Race, human. Possessibility. Full score 5 points. Sixth sense, permanent. Computer software, LV. 0.9. Computer hardware, LV. 0.4. Skill copy single. Own items. Garbage station, permanent. Portable space, permanent. Map query, single. King Kong talisman, single. Number of lucky draws owned, 0 times. Points, 7 points. Chapter 35, I come to buy a factory. Sure enough, the visual simulation, single shot, in the skill has disappeared. I thought this thing was tasteless yesterday, but now I realize that it is simply an indispensable skill. Well, just a few points, not expensive. Yu Liang opened his mouth and murmured softly, Magic hard drive, buy 2 visual simulations. The host wants to buy a visual simulation, 1 time *2. Do you want to buy it? Whether? Yes. The next moment, a new change occurred in Yu Liang's attribute panel. Host, Yu Liang. Race, human. Possessibility. Full score, 5 points. Sixth sense, permanent. Computer software, LV. 0.9. Computer hardware, LV. 0.4. Skill copy single. Own items. Garbage station, permanent. Portable space, permanent. Map query, single. King Kong talisman, single. Visual simulation, single *2. Number of lucky draws owned, 0 times. Points, 5 points. After losing 2 points, the number of times the visual simulation was used successfully became 2 times. Well, no loss, no loss. Yu Liang vaguely felt that all the abilities or items provided by the magic hard drive were of great value after purchase. Well, now you can boldly go looking for that old piece of sandalwood. Open the permanent garbage station in the interface and successfully found Laozhan sandalwood. Then, click on the address in the picture. Sure enough, it overlapped with where I was. Zoom out the map. The map will get bigger and bigger, and the information displayed on it will become more and more detailed. Finally, Yu Liang saw it, and the map showed that this thing was 30 meters away from him. Followed the marks on the map and walked over, bypassed a factory building, and came to a room full of sundries. Whoa! Seeing this room, Yu Liang only felt that his cognition was slightly overturned. He never thought that a room could be so messy. There are all kinds of sundries in here. Of course, the space of this room is also relatively huge. When it was first established, it should be a large factory building, or a large warehouse. I just don't know how it happened. It became a pile of debris. Walked in, circled half a circle, and finally found his goal in a pile of sawdust. Well, here beside sawdust, there is also a pile of wood. This old mountain sandalwood is the biggest one. The density of Laozhan sandalwood is extremely high. Although it is less than one side, it weighs a ton. Yu Liang looked around to make sure that no one was spying on him, and there were no cameras around. In fact, if something is staring at him, then the sixth sense has long been warning. Yu Liang walked into the pile of sawdust and touched the huge old sandalwood with his hand. Revenue space. With a slight movement of the mind, the huge wood disappeared with a swish. However, at the moment when Yu Liang had the idea of harvesting wood, a bad feeling suddenly surged in his heart. This is where the sixth sense comes into play. Yu Liang turned around without thinking and ran as fast as he could. Although the danger of the sixth sense is not strong, it can only be said to be a little bit. But Yu Liang didn't want to put himself in danger, not even at all. Boom, boom, boom. When Yu Liang quickly ran away, he realized that the sixth sense was warning him of danger, because those logs are stacked together. This old sandalwood was obviously used as a support wood, but now, the sudden disappearance of the support wood will naturally cause a collapse. Of course, this level of collapse can only be described as pediatrics. Even if Yu Liang didn't get out of the way in time, it is impossible for his life to be in danger. The big deal is just a little injury. The collapse ended quickly. Although no one was injured, it stirred up dust all over the warehouse. Wow, what a big PM 2.5. Yu Liang left the warehouse without hesitation. He didn't want to breathe anything bad here. In the distance, an old man suddenly ran over. He ran and shouted, "Hey, what are you doing? Who are you?" Yu Liang didn't leave either, just stood here waiting for him. Seeing him running in front of him, Yu Liang smiled and said, "Master, you are taking care of this factory." The old man stopped panting and cursed. "Who are you? Why did you come in? I just went to the toilet. What kind of destruction are you doing?" He also heard the loud noise and rushed over. Although there is nothing valuable in the factory. However, if someone destroys it, he, who was in charge of the gate, will also suffer. Yu Liang smiled softly. "Master, don't worry. I'm here to buy a factory." The old man was taken aback, and his voice suddenly dropped by 3 points. "To buy a factory? It's fine if you don't buy it, but if you really buy it, then don't you want to work for him? If he offends others now, his easy job will be gone with a word from them at that time." After hesitating for a while, the old man said a little aggrieved, "Young man, if you want to buy a factory, you have to tell me before you can come in and see it." Chapter 36 Fool. Yu Liang laughed and said, "Master, I'm sorry, I was reckless." Only then did the old man's expression soften, and he said, "Young man, have you made an appointment with someone?" "No." Yu Liang smiled and said, "Master, can you please contact the owner of the factory? I want to talk to him." The old man hesitated for a moment and said, "Young man, are you planning to buy a factory building and wait for the demolition? Let me tell you, it has been rumored for more than 5 years that this place will be demolished. But there is no confirmation letter yet. You have to think about it, gone." Yu Liang couldn't help laughing and said, "Thank you, sir, I've thought about it, but I have to talk to someone. Of course, if the other party's asking price is really outrageous, I definitely won't buy it." The old man nodded again and again. He really didn't want to talk about Yu Liang, because if you don't talk, it's business as usual. But if it's settled, then it's hard to say whether he can continue to have this leisurely job in the future. However, he didn't dare to refuse casually. People have come to buy factories, and it seems that they're definitely not short of money. If the owner of the factory knew that he had turned down the business for him, he would definitely not be able to stay any longer. The old man came to the guard's room, took out the phone, and called. Although it is abandoned here, it does not mean that this area is desolate. In the past, it was an urban-rural fringe area. But now, in the rapid expansion of the city, it has become a central location. There are also many high-rise buildings and residences nearby, and it is not lacking in popularity. Even across the road, there are many small supermarkets. Yu Liang greeted the old man and went to buy a pack of cigarettes. When he passed by, the old man's eyes kept staring at him, as if he was afraid that he would run away. However, when Yu Liang came over with a cigarette and stuffed it into the old man's hand, he just showed a happy smile. A cigarette. Although it is not a famous cigarette, it is several hundred. He is an old man at the gate. When has he ever enjoyed such treatment? So, when I looked at Yu Liang again, I immediately felt that this young man had delicate features, which was very pleasing to the eye. As for what Yu Liang did in the warehouse just now, he had long since forgotten about it. Half an hour later, a fat man drove a Land Rover in the executive class to the factory building. Along with him, there was a tall and thin man. Both of them had shrewd looks on their faces. "Old who? Is this the one who wants to buy a factory? The fat man looked at Yu Liang with suspicion in his eyes. Yu Liang is young, doesn't wear extravagant clothes, and doesn't have any luxury cars in the factory. Such a young man is talking about buying a factory building. The fat man bared his teeth, always thinking why this matter is unreliable. Yu Liang smiled slightly and said, "Hi, my surname is Yu, so my name is Yu Liang. I don't know how the two bosses call you." The fat man hesitated for a moment and said, "My name is Su Chinfeng, and this is my brother Lu Ding. This factory belongs to us." Yu Liang nodded and said, "You too. Do you own all the property rights of this factory?" "Yeah, this kind of thing can be investigated and people can't be deceived." "Okay, let me tell the truth. I want to buy this factory and transform it into a warehouse. I don't know if you have any intention to sell it." Su Chinfeng and Lu Ding looked at each other. They're all a little confused. These two started to set up factories and do business very early, but in recent years they have gradually withdrawn from the manufacturing industry and started to engage in investment. They have done business with many people. However, the other party came to the door and talked straight to the point. This is the first time they have encountered this situation. "Hee, where did the little brother get rich?" Lu Ding said with a smile. Yu Liang shook his head slightly and said, "I also work for others. I came here today to ask the price. If it's suitable, I'll pay for it now. If you don't want to sell it, or the price is too high, then I'll go to other places and ask." He paused and then said, "My time is relatively tight, so if I have something to say, the two bosses should not be offended." Su Chinfeng laughed. A professional smile appeared on his chubby face and said, "Okay, brother, you are refreshing, and we are also generous. Hey, when our factory was built, it cost a lot of money. It is the construction cost and interior decoration, which cost more than 10 million, almost 20 million. Yu Liang said displeasedly, "Boss Su, at the beginning, now is now. Take a look at the facilities in the factory now. How much do you think it is worth?" "The lease is worth the money." There was no embarrassment on Su Chinfeng's face. He laughed and said, "Brother said well. It seems that you have indeed done an investigation." Yu Liang thought to himself, "I did a fart survey. However, the appearance of your factory is here. As long as you're not blind, you can see it. And my sixth sense tells me, you are lying to me, fooling me. It has been a long time since the factory was built, and it has a history of at least 15 years. 10 million 15 years ago? Although I don't care about money, I don't want to be taken for a fool either. Money, I can give you, but if you want to lie to me, that's your fault." Chapter 37 definitely going to be demolished, and you can't take advantage of others. Lu Ding coughed softly and said, "Mr. Yu, look at the surrounding environment. The government cannot leave this place idle forever, and will definitely develop it. And once this place is demolished, the compensation will be at least more than 10 million. Yu Liang smiled slightly and said, "You two are in the government. There should be someone there. If this place is going to be demolished, you will definitely know in advance." He turned his eyes on the faces of the two of them and said, "Everyone knows that this place will be demolished. But when will it be demolished? Can you be sure? Also, how many years are left in your lease? If the contract expires, aren't you afraid to accompany me to the bottom?" Both Su Chinfeng and Lu Ding frowned slightly. What Yu Liang said was exactly what they were worried about. 5 years ago, when they stopped running the factory, they were waiting for demolition. However, 5 years have passed, and houses around here have sprung up one after another. However, there has been no news of factory demolition. Every other year, there are rumors, but in fact, it is thunder and rain, and only the sound is heard, but there is no movement. And now, there are only 4 years before their contract expires. In the past 4 years, can they really wait until the demolition? To be honest, they were not sure, not at all. Although the contract expires and demolition, they must have money to get it. However, it is really hard to say how much money you can get at that time. However, in front of this ignorant young man, they naturally wouldn't let themselves go. Mr. Yu, when it comes to business, of course there are exchanges. I don't know how much you plan to pay for our factory," Su Chinfeng said with a smile. Yu Liang glanced at him and said, "How about this? I'll offer 10 million, a one-off price. You agree, and now find a lawyer to sign the contract and transfer the money." 10 million? Su Chinfeng and Lu Ding looked at each other. A thought popped up in the hearts of both of them at the same time. This factory is about to be demolished. It's just that this young man got the inside information from somewhere. So he hurried over and wanted to buy the factory building in advance from the two of them. Otherwise, rely on this factory building and the 4-year lease term. Let alone 10 million. Even if there is another 20% discount, it may not be able to sell. No, you can't be taken advantage of. Seeing the unpredictable expressions on the faces of these two, Yu Liang suddenly had a faint premonition in his heart. Oh, I quoted a high price. So, these two feel that rare goods are available? Sure enough, Su Chenfeng said with a smile, Mr. Yu, selling a factory is a big deal after all. Why don't we discuss it for a few days? Look, Yu Liang smiled slightly and said, Okay, but I can't wait too long. How about this? I'll leave you a call. Within 3 days, if you're interested, you can contact me. If it exceeds 3 days, I will find another place. Su Chenfeng and Su Chenfeng quickly wrote down the phone number, and they wanted to invite Yu Liang to dinner. In fact, because Yu Liang is young, I want to get some truth out of his mouth. But Yu Liang clearly sensed their ill intentions, so he refused straight away. Watching Yu Liang leave with a beating, the two looked at each other in blank dismay. Old Su, do you think the factory will be demolished? It must be demolished, otherwise the boy would have to pay for this price. He doesn't want to spend more money, right? It's a pity that Yu Liang is not here. Otherwise, he would definitely tell the other party. Yes, I just want to spend more money. As long as you spend more money, it's a lottery in points. Since I have money, why don't I spend more? Old Su, what should we do now? What else can we do? Let's find someone right now and ask about the demolition first. I believe there will definitely be disturbances. That kid came by taxi. Do you think he has that much money? Hey, he must have called on purpose. He just didn't want us to know his license plate number. Yes, that's the truth. Lu Ding nodded vigorously and said, It's cheap. No matter what, it can't be made for nothing. That's right. That kid wants to make 10 million as soon as he changes hands. What a shame. Yu Liang beat her, but did not return home. Today is Saturday. The company does not start work, and there is still an appointment with a beautiful woman in the evening. He has already told his parents that he will not go home for dinner tonight. As for where to eat, he didn't dare to say it. If he lets his parents know his thoughts, it will ensure that there will be no peace in the family. However, after going to the factory today, Yu Liang also made a decision. Buy a car first. The taxi went directly to the area of the largest 4S store in Yongqing. It was on a street in Xiaoying Street, Yinzhou, with 4S stores on both sides, and there were various brands. Luxury and non-luxury cars, everything. There are so many cars. As long as you have money, you can choose from them. So, what brand to choose? After reaching the 4S point, Yu Liang closed his eyes and let the taxi driver drive forward. He counted silently in his heart, and when he counted to 10, he suddenly said, Stop, pay to get out of the car, and look up. In front of him was a huge 4-circle mark. Chapter 38, Buying a Car. It's impossible to fix it. Audi. Come on. Audi is Audi. The grade of this brand in Manhwa is not low, and it is also one of the 3 oldest high-end car brands. Even the government's buses are mostly A6. Therefore, there is no shame in using Audi. Well, in fact, Yu Liang's heart is already extremely strong now. No matter what car he drives, he will not feel ashamed. Entering the Audi 4S store, it is still quite busy. There is a special reception room here, and there are exhibition halls in the hall where many cars are placed. A salesman with sharp eyesight and quick hands greeted him immediately. This is a beautiful professional woman in her 20s. Her tall and straight figure is leaning forward slightly, with her hands clasped on her lower abdomen. Her face is full of smiles. Hello, sir. Are you here to see the car? Yu Liang glanced at her, a little surprised. The beauty of this girl, really good. Although she had put on a light plain dress, but at this moment, she looked at least 90 points. Even a little bit better than the twins without makeup. Of course, if the twins were makeup, stand together again. Yu Liang immediately put this thought aside and said, Hey, let me introduce you. Okay, sir. The girl said with a smile on her face, Sir, what's your surname? Please sit down and drink some tea first. As a salesperson, what they like most is this kind of customer with a very clear purpose. This shows that the other party has already taken a good look at the car before coming and has expectations in mind, and the possibility of a transaction is extremely high. On the contrary, for those customers who are difficult to choose and choose, it is as difficult as heaven to reach a car purchase contract within one day. The two came to the sales area, and the girl took out some beautiful pictures, but when she was about to introduce them, Yuliang waved her hand and said, "Do you have any existing cars in your 4S store?" "Current car?" "Yes, I'm going to pick up the car today. If there is one, I will introduce it. If not, then I will go to the 4S shop of other brands." The girl opened her mouth, a little surprised, a little puzzled, and a little suspicious. If she remembers correctly, what Yuliang said was A8, not A4. Although the A8 and A4 are both sedan series, their prices are vastly different. Although A8 is not the top luxury brand, the price of buying a car here is at least close to 1 million yuan. This person, "Don't you need to consider the price when buying a car?" She said cautiously, "Mr. Yu, it's like this. Our store generally accepts reservations. If it's an existing car, I'm afraid there will be a price increase. Moreover, we can't choose parts." Yuliang looked at her coldly and said, "You can introduce the current car first." "Yes, please wait a moment, I will go to the background to check." Soon, the girl came back with a hint of excitement on her face and said, "Mr. Yu, you were so lucky. We happen to have a 2022 model A8L60 TFSI Quattro Premium Collector's Edition in our store." She paused and then said, "This car has already been selected, and most of them are the best, and it is a rare existing car which can be driven away at any time." Yuliang smiled slightly and said, "Price." "The landing price is 1.97 million. Yuliang looked at her indifferently. His brain was running at high speed. The sixth sense told him that what the girl said was true. However, there must be something hidden in it. However, the sixth sense did not find danger. That is to say, this car is a good car, there will be no faults, and so on. Then, obviously, there must be a certain amount of moisture in the other party's quotation. If it is squeezed, it is estimated that at least 100,000 can be paid back." Yuliang nodded his head and said, "Pay the insurance for me. Take care of it. Round up a whole number 2 million. Go and swipe the card." The expression on the girl's face was dull for a moment. In fact, in 4S stores, there are generally no existing cars of the A8 level. Because their prices are too expensive, any qualified operator will not allow too many vehicles to affect their liquidity. The A8 introduced by this girl is an absolute new car. However, this car was actually reserved by someone. However, when the head office built the car and delivered it, the person who booked the car had an accident, so he didn't pay the balance. Of course, this person's deposit cannot be taken back, and there will even be contract disputes. But the 4S store is not easy, because although there are people who buy A8, however, there are too few people who choose this top model. Moreover, most of the people who can spend close to 2 million to buy a car pay great attention to the personality of the vehicle. They would rather choose accessories again than accept an optional model that has been finalized by others. Therefore, for 4S stores, this must be a car that is difficult to sell, and it is likely to be in the hands of a long time. Generally speaking, 4S stores will give a very high commission to the salesperson who can sell this kind of car. Moreover, in terms of profit sharing, there will also be a big discount. The girl had already prepared, and Yuliang made a big counteroffer, while she argued hard to get as much money as possible. But God knows what happened. The young man had indeed counteroffered, but it is not to lower the price, but to actively increase the price. Although the price increase is not much, it is only 30,000. But what the hell is making up an integer? At this moment, this girl is really going to be screwed. Chapter 39, Playing Hard to Get is at that high end. Xiaoya, did you receive a big order today? In the 4S shop, a charming girl asked. Qi Xiaoya was the saleswoman at the 4S store who received Yuliang. Although Yuliang's unreasonable way of playing cards made her dizzy. However, no matter how dizzy he is, he will not miss making money. Therefore, Qi Xiaoya instinctively followed what Yuliang said. Just added 30,000 yuan to make up a whole number. Of course, Qi Xiaoya gave away all the things that should be given away. For example, the number of kilometers and time maintenance, and the ability to stick film, and so on. Anyway, she didn't leave anyone who was able to give generously to the company. After Yu Liang readily paid the money, Qi Xiaoya also breathed a sigh of relief. 2 million, after all, you can only rest assured if you can rest assured. However, even if she wanted to break her scalp, she couldn't think of it. Why did that young man have such a weird operation? When buying a car and signing a contract, she can see the other party's ID card. Therefore, she also knew that Yu Liang was only 1 year older than her. At that time, her mind was full of thoughts. Did Yu Liang want to pick her up by giving her a favor like this? The son who treats money like dung like this is probably a scumbag. If he wants his own contact information, should he give it to him? I will definitely give it. This is the company's requirement. When dealing with big customers, you must leave the other party's mobile phone number and WeChat contact information. What is a major customer? Those who can buy A8 at a higher price as they like. If they are not called big customers, then there will be no big customers in this world. However, it wasn't until Qi Xiaoya finished all the formalities. Even when the keys were handed over to Yu Liang still didn't take the initiative to ask her for WeChat. This made Qi Xiaoya's teeth itch with hatred. This trick of playing hard to get is too slippery. In the end, Qi Xiaoya took the initiative to add Yu Liang's WeChat account. Moreover, this is an excuse that the company stipulates that it must serve large customers. Seeing Yu Liang, who was obviously hesitant, Qi Xiaoya wished she could pounce on him and take a bite. However, listening to the compliments from colleagues at this time, inexplicably, a sense of vanity welled up in Qi Xiaoya's heart. Yeah, I was lucky today. I met a cheerful, handsome guy and sold the stranded A8 in no time. Hey, it's our Xiaoya who is so good. She can make people dizzy with just a few words. Xiaoya, I heard that they raised the price on their own initiative to let you get more commission? Qi Xiaoya quickly waved her hand and said, No, it's just that I want to make an auspicious number. Everyone's expressions are quite strange, as if you don't lie to me. Take the initiative to increase the price and make up an auspicious number? Do you think we are all idiots? I just don't know what kind of price this little rascal has paid to get people to take the initiative to increase the price. Xiaoya, you should be able to earn a lot with this sum. Yes, the manager has already said that whoever can sell that car will be rewarded with an extra 100,000 yuan in addition to the fixed commission. Qi Xiaoya smiled without saying a word, extremely sweet. However, he glanced at his phone. She also had some doubts in her heart. Strange. Why haven't you contacted me yet? Could it be that this is Jiang Taigong fishing? Will the wisher take the bait? Now the scumbags are all playing such a high-end game? Men, there are few people who don't like cars. Yu Liang is no exception. When there is no car, that's all. However, since he bought the car, he didn't want to hire a substitute driver. I asked the 4S store to ask for a sticker saying, I'm a newbie, please bear with me, stuck it on the back of the car, and then drove on the road by myself. Although Yu Liang has a driver's license, this driver's license was obtained when he was studying in university. He hasn't touched the steering wheel since he passed the exam. A few years, although I still remember how the car was driven. However, if you want to drive smoothly, that is to say he is brave enough, has money on his body, and is not afraid of collisions. So he directly drives a car worth 2 million yuan as a second-hand car. Fortunately, when people saw A8 along the way, they would always take care of it a little bit. After all, no one wants to have a dispute with a luxury car. Moreover, seeing that there is only one temporary photo of this A8, it is clearly a new car. Therefore, normal people will stay away a little bit. At a speed of 40 yards all the way, Yu Liang carefully drove the car back to Tianyi. My home is an old community, so there must be no place to put it. Besides, if a car of this grade is parked in the old community, it will be a thorn in the side of others on purpose. Yu Liang doesn't want to do this kind of behavior of actively showing off his wealth. Besides, there is no surveillance in the old community. In case of knocking and bumping, although it doesn't hurt, it will always be troublesome. So, after thinking about it, Yu Liang drove the car into the company's underground garage. There is a fee here, but the daily cap is 60 yuan. Stop here, don't worry. Went home and slept. It was 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Yu Liang got up, greeted his parents, tidied up, and left the house. Walked towards the Heiyu restaurant not far away, thinking of the pair of twins still waiting for him. His heart suddenly became hot. P.S. Gentlemen, can I have some flowers and evaluation tickets? Panic. If it was before, even if Sister He Ling Long invited Yu Liang to dinner, he wouldn't have any special thoughts. Because he knew that the sisters were not interested in him, but that they were really grateful to him. After all, if He Ling Long left a bad comment on the internship review without her own help, it would have a huge negative impact on her job hunting in the future. Therefore, Yu Liang, who has always been quite self-aware, will definitely not understand the wrong information. However, it is different now. Perhaps Qian Zhuang was cowardly, or perhaps it was because of the subtle changes in Yu Liang's personality after having the magic hard drive. Some things, it seems, can also be thought about. Yu Liang came to the Heiyu restaurant leisurely. "Brother, you here?" Just after entering, Yu Liang, who was looking around to find someone, saw the pair of sisters on a table by the window. These two girls were originally quite beautiful. Anyone who goes out, although it can't be said to be the crown of beauty, but at least it can have a lot of heads. After all, 85 points without makeup is already a rare beauty in reality. But at this time, when two identical sisters sit together, they become even more eye-catching. At the very least, when Yu Liang glanced around, he saw a lot of people sneaking glances at them. Hey, it can only be said that the bonus of twin sisters is really too buggy. Yu Liang even speculated that it might be for this reason that the company deliberately separated the pair of sisters and assigned them to different departments. Otherwise, the employees would go to work and focus on looking at the beauties, so they wouldn't be interested in working. Yu Liang walked over calmly and sat down graciously. In the past, he might still be a little restrained, but now his mentality has changed a long time ago, and his attitude is naturally very different. Even the envious, jealous, and curious eyes around him didn't make him feel at ease. "Brother Yu, what kind of fish do you like?" "There's sauerkraut, tomato, fish soup bottom with big bones." Yu Liang smiled and said, "The pickled fish here is very famous, but tomato black fish soup is more effective for beautifying women. So, let's eat tomato fish soup." "Ah, tomato fish soup really has a beautifying effect?" "There is a high probability." Yu Liang smiled and said, "This is the meal passed down from our ancestors. If there is no reason, it will not be passed down for so long. To be honest, if tomato blackfish soup is eaten often, it may really have the effect of clearing away heat and relieving heat, beautifying the skin, and can make the skin better and better. However, if you eat it once by chance, unless it is an elixir, it will be of no use at all. It's just that Yu Liang likes to eat tomatoes." "Okay, then let's come to the tomato and blackfish soup pot bottom." He Ling Long took the phone, checked a few dishes on the interface, and said, "Brother, you pick a few more?" Yu Liang glanced at it and said, "It's enough for the three of us. Don't waste it." Looking at He Ling Long, who was hesitant to speak, he continued, "I know you all want to thank me, but diligence and thrift have been the traditional virtues of our Dragon Kingdom since ancient times, so if you cannot waste it, don't waste it." The two sisters looked at each other. Obviously, they didn't want them to spend more money, but they said it so righteously. They found that brother, you seemed to be getting more and more pleasing to the eye. Soon, the bottom of the fish soup pot was brought up. Yu Liang and the others didn't ask for wine, but a watermelon juice. The fish in Heiyu restaurant is really good. Although Yu Liang has eaten it several times, he still finds it delicious. Of course, it might also have something to do with the two beautiful little girls sitting beside her. If you change to two ants. At this moment, Yu Liang might have to think of ways to escape. They ate and chatted. After all, Yu Liang had graduated a few years ago and had a little more knowledge, so he led the topic. The two little girls gradually became acquainted with him, and they became less wary. Under his intentional guidance, He Ling Long and the two began to complain in a low voice about various unsatisfactory things at work. There is nothing perfect in this world. Especially if you work as an intern, you will definitely feel angry. At the end, He Lingna let out a long sigh and said, "I found out that school is better." Yu Liang laughed dumbfounded and said, "Xiao Xiaohe, I want to ask you something." "Ah, what?" Although He Lingna is very resistant to this title, but Yu Liang refuses to change after being taught, and she has nothing to do. "I remember you said that the boss of the purchasing department wants to buy some top-quality wood." "Well, yes. Lingna was startled. Her eyes lit up. Brother Yu, do you have a way? Yu Liang smiled slightly and said, I have a piece of old Indian sandalwood in my hand. You can ask him if he will take it or not. Yu Liang is not short of money, but he lacks the channels and excuses to take out the money openly. At the level of tens of millions, or even hundreds of millions, Bitcoin can still be used as an excuse. But when billions, tens of billions... Anyway, diversification of excuses is not a bad thing. As for things like Laozhan sandalwood, Yu Liang believes that high-grade wood, which is forgotten all over the world. Definitely more than that. So, he didn't need to feel sorry for him at all. P.S. Has anyone actually watched it? It seems that writing daily is not pleasing. Chapter 41 Traffickers. India. Old Mountain Sandalwood. Helena blinked her big eyes, and Yu Liang's heart was moved by that handsome and lovely appearance. Brother Yu, this thing should be very valuable. Helena doesn't know much about the timber market, but modern people have too many channels to acquire knowledge. Therefore, when I heard the words foreign, Laozhan, and sandalwood, I immediately felt that this thing was a bit taller. Yu Liang smiled slightly and said, I sent you a paragraph. You will know when you forward it. He took out his phone and started editing. The tree is 80 years old, and it has been placed for 40 years after felling. It has completed the mellow process of Laozhan sandalwood. When Helena saw the news, her eyes seemed to brighten a bit. Of course, she couldn't understand it. However, since Yu Liang's writing is so lofty, it must not be cheap. The supervisor will most likely accept it. And once you accept it, it will be a thank you fee of 10,000 yuan. Although the 10,000 yuan has to be divided equally with Yu Liang, isn't the money picked up for nothing? Isn't it good? Opening the mobile phone WeChat, Helena found the number of the head of the purchasing department. Helena, Director, I found a piece of wood here. Do you think it is suitable? Lin, the director of the purchasing department, is a woman in her 30s and nearly 40s. Lin, what kind of wood? Helena, my friend said, what is it called? Indian Laozhan sandalwood. I will send you what he said. I clicked on the paragraph edited by Yu Liang and forwarded it successfully. In almost a second, Lin replied immediately. Lin, Xia, are you kidding me? Is it really this kind of wood? Helena hesitated for a moment. Although the supervisor was not in front of her, she seemed to feel the urgent attitude and mood from Lin. Looking up, she said cautiously, Brother Yu, Director seems to be very concerned. You are not lying to me, are you? If you don't, I will be punished. Yu Liang waved his hand generously and said, Of course, I won't lie to you. You can tell her that you can inspect the goods first and then negotiate the price. Yes. Helena smiled happily and then replied, Lin, okay, Xiao, thank you. If it is true, then you will be doing my sister a great favor. You ask your friends, when can you inspect the goods? Brother Yu, Director asks you, when can you inspect the goods? Yu Liang thought for a while. That thing really takes up a lot of space when taken out. I still have to rent a warehouse by myself. You tell her, wait for my notice the day after tomorrow. Okay. Wow. Human trafficker? Suddenly, Ling Long, who was silently looking at his phone, cried out in a low voice. Both Yu Liang and Lingna were in a daze. What's the meaning? Ling Long was not interested in the topic of the two of them's conversation, so he casually checked moments. Then, in the circle of friends, there was a forwarded missing person notice. The content is roughly as follows. A full body and mug shot of an adorable 2-year-old. Below the photo is a description. This child is called Su Kasho. This evening, when Grandma was playing with her in the park, she was taken away by a woman in her 40s who was wearing a red dress. The family immediately called the police, and a search is underway. If you see any people, please call the police immediately, etc. It's really disgusting. It's not easy to be a human trafficker. Ling Long gritted her teeth and said angrily, Yes, the human traffickers are too bad. Helena also joined the denunciation without hesitation. These people should be shot. Hey, I hope this child will be lucky and come back safely. Yu Liang glanced at it, his heart moved slightly. If you haven't encountered such a thing, or if you can't do anything about it, then that's all. However, since I met it, and I still have the ability. Then Yu Liang will definitely not stand idly by. He silently activated the visual simulation function. The host has skills. Visual simulation, *2. Use it? Whether? Yes. This function felt tasteless at first, but it has been used twice in a row today. It turns out that this is the most practical skill. The next moment, the interface of the magic hard disk appeared in front of him. It's an extremely strange feeling that Yu Liang can see both the virtual interface and the real world at the same time without confusion. It can only be said that the magic hard disk is really amazing enough. He said silently in his heart, "Use the map to query." The host owns an item. Map query, single. Whether to use it? Whether. It's time now. Do you still need to ask? Yu Liang slandered in his heart while choosing yes. Subsequently, a map and a search bar appear in the interface. Although it is also the first time for him to use map query, normal people can understand this interface at a glance. Enter the 3 words Su Kisho in the search bar. With a slight movement of my mind, even the photos were pasted on it at the same time. Yu Liang's eyelids twitched slightly. The service of the magic hard drive is really considerate. The next moment, a cursor appeared on the map. Yu Liang immediately zoomed in on the cursor. He suddenly became angry. Magic hard drive is extremely powerful. Not only immediately marked the location of the missing child, but also provided full monitoring. At this time, Sukasho was still in the hands of the middle-aged woman in the red dress. However, the woman at this time had already put on a blue coat and was sitting in the back seat of a Jetta. There is a man sitting in the driver's seat and the passenger's seat in front of the car. And Sukasho closed his eyes tightly at this time, clearly passed out in a coma. Yu Liang had heard for a long time that the traffickers had kidnapped children. Because they are afraid that they will be noisy, they will be given sleeping pills or tranquilizers to make them fall asleep. As for whether this kind of medicine will have any bad side effects on children's bodies, it is not something that traffickers will consider. At this point, it is the peak period, and this area is the city center. So the car is going very slowly. Yu Liang looked at the location of the car and was surprised to find it. Not far from their location? What the hell? Even God can't stand it. So are you going to use his hands to punish evil and promote good? Xiaohe, forward this picture to me, and I will also send it to Moments. Okay. He Ling Long didn't think too much about it, so he did it. Then Yu Liang suddenly stood up and said, Xiaohe, the food is almost ready. I bought a new car, and I will take you to see it. How about it? What? The 2 sisters were a little confused. Although they did have enough to eat, they were a little surprised that it happened so suddenly. However, it was rare for Brother Yu to be so interested. He Ling Long nodded her head and said, "Okay, then go and see Brother Yu's car. My car is very close. It's parked in the basement of the company. I'll bring it up. After you pay the bill, wait on the side of the street. This pickled fish restaurant is more than 100 meters away from their company." Yu Liang didn't wait for their reply. He stood up directly and left the Heiyu restaurant. After coming out, he quickened his pace and walked like flying. In just a few minutes, he came to the company's basement. The sisters He Ling Long looked at each other in blank dismay. "Sister, Brother Yu seems to be in a hurry." "Well, probably he bought a new car and wants to show off." He wants to show off to you? F****KU. Don't talk nonsense." After paying the bill, the 2 sisters left the Heiyu restaurant, walked to the side of the road, and waited quietly. Yu Liang entered the basement with 3 steps and 2 steps. However, when he got into the cab and started the car, he was a little dumbfounded. "Whoops, with my driving skills, do you want to catch up with other people's cars? This difficulty seems a bit big. However, up to now, no matter what, it cannot be let go." After thinking about it, he immediately made a decision. The map query function can last for 12 hours. Moreover, during this time, Yu Liang can be used countless times, not just limited to a certain query condition. So, he tried typing best driver into the search bar. However, this time the map query did not directly jump out of the result but a paragraph. Please enter the precise words from the host. Accurate. The meaning of driving. 1. Normal. 2. Irregular. Please choose. What the hell? When is this? Are you still driving for me? Yu Liang rolled his eyes, chose 1, and noted, "Car driver." The next moment, a person's name and the following introduction appeared on the screen. This person is a small car driver. He is 36 years old this year and has 30 years of driving experience. He is rated as the best car driver by Magic Hard Drive. Yu Liang was a little taken aback. 36 years old, with 30 years of driving experience? What the hell is this? Do not care, because in the attribute column below this person, there is a dazzling golden light shining with an attribute. Car driving skill, LV5. Among the technical levels, the highest level is level 5. In other words, this person's car driving skills have reached the peak of what humans can achieve. With such technology, what kind of bicycle do you need? Use skills to copy. The host has a skill duplication single. Use it. Whether skill copy single can copy the skills mastered by others to oneself. After each copy, the aging is maintained for 24 hours. Yes. May I ask the host, what skills do you need to copy? Small car driving skills are those of LV5. Whether to copy the car driving technology, LV5. Whether. Yes. In an instant, an indescribable feeling came to my heart. It was an indescribable feeling, like a sudden enlightenment. And like an enlightenment, it instantly opened up his second vein of Rundu. Countless knowledge, as well as a strong sense of physical familiarity, just filled his mind. Yu Liang put his hands on the steering wheel. Although this is a new car, at this moment, Yu Liang has a feeling that this car is his own body. Human and vehicle in one. This is the only feeling he has at this moment. With a light step on the accelerator, the engine roared dully. Call. The car drove out of the parking space like flying. Although the speed is fast, the movements are smooth and coordinated, as if there is an indescribable beauty. Chapter 43. Hurry up, sit tight. Sister He Ling Long was standing on the street, and the two of them were whispering. Ling Long, what kind of car did brother you buy? He Ling Long rolled her sister's eyes. This little rascal, when he has something to ask for himself, he yells, "Sister, sister." Usually, they call him by his first name. Hey, who told me to be a sister? Let me suffer a little bit. She shook her head and said, I don't know, but brother you is a local, and a car worth more than 100,000 yuan should not be a burden. This is the benefit of the local aborigines. After saving a lot of rent and mortgages, the disposable cash in their hands makes the envious eyes of migrant workers turn green. Suddenly, a car pulled over and the window rolled down, revealing Yu Liang's face. Why are you still watching? Get in the car. Ah, yes. The two sisters opened the back door, and then saw the interior inside, and couldn't help being a little dazed. Brother your car is so strange. What? In other people's car, there are 3 seats in the back seat. Why does your car only have 2 seats? Yeah, brother you've been fooled. Buying this car is too bad. Yu Liang. Well, he should have thought a long time ago that these 2 little girls should not recognize A8. The price of cars varies greatly. Expensive cars, 1 million, is the entry-level version. And the vast majority of cars are between tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands. For people who don't know cars, whether you drive an A8 or an A4, they won't have much feeling. Of course, all idiots know that a sports car with a gorgeous and unique shape is super expensive. On the contrary, it is A8 who is stable and dignified, and people who don't know him really don't know each other. Coughing lightly, Yu Liang didn't explain and said, Sit down, fasten your seatbelts, and I'll take you for a ride. Oh! The two of them obediently fastened their seatbelts, sat on the back seat, and looked around, but they dared not touch casually. Normally, Yu Liang would have to make some jokes, but now he has no such thoughts. With one foot on the gas pedal, the car started to drive quickly. The performance of the A8 is very strong. Among the cars in the same gear, its performance is definitely not the best, but it is definitely not the worst, compared to the Jetta driven by traffickers. Well, it is impossible for anyone who knows a little bit about cars to compare these 2 cars. This approach is equivalent to holding a domestic 599 yuan mobile phone as a gift, compared with other people's Fruit 14 Pro. And what they said all over the mouth, the fruit machine of others is good, far surpassing the domestic machine. For the sake of traffic, people who can do this kind of thing have black hearts. Yu Liang drove the car and swam in the sea of cars. Although the traffic jam is still quite serious now, Yu Liang was able to drive without hesitation. There have been a few situations where it seemed more dangerous in the past. Sister He Ling Long, who was sitting in the back seat, looked at the interior around her at first. The two of them felt that Yu Liang was cheated when he bought the car because there were only 2 seats in the back row. But after a quarter of an hour, they were a little frightened. Brother Yu is really unrestrained in driving. However, this is too unrestrained. At this time, Yu Liang's eyes lit up slightly. He had already seen the Jetta through the gaps of the cars in front. It's just that there are too many cars now, so it's not very easy to play here. It is best to find a fork in the road. Well, there are 4 forks in the traffic police. In the car, the 2 sisters looked at each other. Then He Ling Long said cautiously, "Brother Yu, we are fine. There is no need to be in such a hurry." Yu Liang was startled, turned his head halfway, and said, "What? Ah, turn back, turn back." He Ling screamed. Yu Liang looked back. It was such a split second, and it was actually not a big problem for the old driver. Of course, in the driving manual, such actions are indeed absolutely forbidden. He Ling Long was also taken aback and quickly said, "Brother Yu, I mean you can drive slower." Only then did Yu Liang realize that he was driving too fast and it was too dangerous. Therefore, the pair of sisters were frightened. But there is nothing he can do. Although the map query has 12 hours, he also has points, which can be redeemed at any time. However, children are always dangerous in the hands of traffickers. It is definitely better to be rescued earlier than later. Nodding slightly, Yu Liang said, "Okay, I see." At this time, Yu Liang overtook 2 more cars and drove up from another lane, almost side by side with the Jetta. Then, Yu Liang suddenly glanced at the Jetta and said, "Hey, look." The 2 sisters were at a loss. "What are you looking at? Did you see it?" Yu Liang asked more urgently. He Ling Long was soft-tempered. Hearing Yu Liang's urgent question, she nodded blankly and subconsciously said, "Ah, I see." However, her heart became more and more strange. "What do I see?" Helena turned her head to look at her sister with a strange expression on her face. "What do you see?" Immediately afterwards, they heard Yu Liang say, "Hold on to your back and sit still." The voice was extremely harsh. The 2 sisters grabbed the seat in front without thinking. What does Brother Yu want to do? Just when this thought came to them, they felt that the car suddenly made a sharp turn. Boom! The 2 cars came into close contact and collided. Chapter 44, Brother Yu's True Face. Overtake. In the Jetta, the driver, Hu Bin, is a thin, capable man. He slapped the steering wheel hard, and the depression in his heart was really indescribable. What have you done? And what are you doing? Hu Bin knows better than anyone else. Therefore, when he was driving, he was honest and did not make any dangerous driving movements at all. It is time to stop and walk, and there is absolutely no violation of the rules. Even if someone around him is driving irregularly, he will be more courteous. If you can get 10 points, you will never give up 8 points. But what the hell, when people drink cold water, there will be times when their teeth get stuck. When Hu Bin is driving, he is absolutely watching all directions and listening to all directions. So, through the rearview mirror, he had already seen the A8. This is a luxury car, but the driver of the luxury car seems to be a bit sloppy, swimming around in the sea of cars, grabbing the road. If it's just once, it's fine, but if you get down many times, it's definitely dangerous driving. While Hu Bin cursed secretly in his heart, he was also mentally prepared. Be careful with this car. Sure enough, after the front of the car passed his own in the parallel lane, he turned the steering wheel and drove towards him. Hu Bin was so frightened that his heart beat like thunder. What the hell? I've seen one who steals the way, but I haven't seen this kind of one. Are you stealing the way? The gap is so small, you are a ghost. If you hadn't noticed this car a long time ago and were mentally prepared, he even suspected that this car was coming for them. Fortunately, Hu Bin was prepared, slowed down the car ahead of time, and immediately stepped on the brakes. But, if nothing else, accidents still happen. That limo driver is an idiot. The direction of the turn is too small, even if he has already stopped and given up enough space for the A8 to overtake. However, the A8 still crashed into the front of his car abruptly. Well, the right headlight of the A8 hit his left headlight. At this moment, Hu Bin was shaking coldly. What kind of psychopathy did I encounter? Yu Liang looked in front of his eyes and then said, "Get in the car, don't get off." The sisters He Ling Long looked at each other in blank dismay. They had been worried for so long because they were afraid of a car accident. But the more you are afraid of something, the more you will come. Still got into an accident. However, at this moment Yu Liang acted like a man. Let the two of them sit in the car and prevent them from negotiating. Looking at each other, it was the first time for the two of them to encounter this kind of thing, so they had to listen to Yu Liang's words, obediently stayed in the car, and became a pair of shivering quails. Yu Liang got out of the car, he strode around the A8, came to Jeddah, slapped the other side's hood vigorously, and said loudly, "Hey, how do you drive? Why don't you get out of the way?" Hu Bin is hesitating how to deal with this matter. I saw a young man yelling in front of his car. What? I won't get out of the way? You are so crazy. Which eye of yours saw that I didn't move away? I parked. Being able to hit a stopped car is really rare. Brother, what should we do? Hu Fei in the passenger seat exclaimed in surprise. Hu Bin gritted his teeth and said, "Don't panic, get out of the car." He turned his head and said, "Take care of the child." The woman in the back seat nodded vigorously, and her face turned pale. This is really a disaster. Hu Bin got out of the car and said calmly, "Brother, it's not that I don't let you go, it's that you drove too fast." Nonsense, I obviously drove well, but I drove very slowly. How could it be too fast? It's obviously because you didn't let me go. Yu Liang's voice became louder and louder. Hu Bin has been in business all his life, and he has never seen such a messy and savage thing. Hu Fei walked to the back of A8 and took a look, and suddenly his eyes widened and said, "Brother, he is a novice on the road." Hu Bin was stunned for a moment and said in disbelief, Are you a novice?" Yu Liang took it for granted. "Yeah, it's been 4 years since I got my driver's license. I just bought a car today and drove it for the first time." "Hey, I've been unlucky for 8 lifetimes when I met you." Hu Bin took a deep breath, only feeling the indignation in his chest and abdomen. "I can't wait to punch this scum to death. What the hell? You are a novice, driving on a rampage, and you are still reasonable. If it didn't kill you, it's your fate. But it happened to hit my car. What the hell? Who is the one who has been unlucky for 8 lifetimes? Hey, are you being unreasonable? It's obviously your other car. Yeah, move away. Move the driveway quickly. It's blocked if you don't see it. What's so great about driving an A8? Can you just grab lanes indiscriminately with a luxury car?" The two little girls hiding in the car naturally saw and listened to everything that happened outside. Their faces turned blue and red. Unexpectedly, "Brother, you turned out to be such a person." As the parties involved, they naturally know who is right and who is wrong. However, it was only at this moment that they realized that Yu Liang, who had always been gentle and considerate in front of them, turned out to be so arrogant, domineering, and unreasonable. It turned out that this was his true face. Chapter 45, Call to Headquarters. Urgently need support. The traffic police are here. It's good that the police are here. Teach this kid a lesson. Yeah, I thought driving an A8 would be lawless, and I don't know where the rich second generation came from. This kind of person should be taught a good lesson. The crash seemed like an accident, but in fact, this is a place that Yu Liang has chosen on purpose. Here, it is a secondary main road, and it is also near the intersection of traffic lights. At this point, during this time period, there will definitely be traffic police and auxiliary police leading the traffic order. Therefore, when the traffic here was cut off, the traffic police at the intersection saw it and rushed over immediately. When the Hu Bin brothers saw the traffic policemen, their expressions changed slightly. But they all knew that at this time, they must not show timidity. A sharp look flashed across Hu Bin's eyes, and at this moment, a trace of uneasiness surged in his heart. Did this kid do it on purpose? With a glance through the window of the A8, Hu Bin suddenly saw it. On the back seat of the A8, there are actually 2 little beauties. What's more important is that these 2 little beauties actually look exactly the same. Suddenly, Hu Bin understood a little. No wonder this kid drives like he's on steroids. What the hell, rich people are so happy, they're so good at playing. Immediately, the heart that was raised a little bit was let go again. If Yu Liang was a policeman, it would be impossible for him to bump into him with two cute little beauties. Normal people can't do such a thing, so it must have been an accident. What's the matter with you? Pull the car aside and get out of the way. As soon as the traffic police arrived, they began to command loudly. At the same time, he also took out his mobile phone and snapped a few photos quickly. In the eyes of this traffic policeman, such an accident couldn't be simpler. As long as you look at the unique shapes of the two cars, you will know that the A8 must have grabbed the road and then hit the Jetta. The pressure line is so blatant as long as anyone with eyes can see it wrong. Therefore, he does not have any affection for Yu Liang, who is driving the A8. Hubin hurriedly said, "Officer, I still have some urgent matters at home. See if you can make a simple record, and then I have to go to work." Before the traffic police could speak, Yu Liang yelled, "No. Do you know how expensive my car is? If you don't lose money today, don't even think about leaving." Lose money? The traffic policeman and Hubin looked at him together with strange eyes. "You kids still want to lose money? Do you know the traffic laws or not? Is your driver's license obtained through examination or purchased? Wait, does this kid have a driver's license?" The traffic police immediately said, "You take out your ID card, driver's license, and driving license." "No, you move the car to the side of the road first. Hurry up, the road is blocked. So many cars, can't you see it?" Hubin had no choice but to admit that he was unlucky when he met such an unreasonable guy. At this time, you must not dispute with the police, nor arouse their suspicion. He winked at his younger brother and let him get in the car. Yu Liang hesitated for a moment and said, "Officer, can I trouble you to move the car for me?" The traffic policeman was taken aback and looked up in surprise. He had been a traffic policeman for so many years, and this was the first time he heard such a request. "I'm a novice. After I got my driver's license, it's the first time I've touched the steering wheel in 4 years." Yu Liang said innocently, "I was hit by him just now. I was so panicked that I didn't dare to drive." Hubin raised his head suddenly, the corners of his mouth twitching. "Although I am very clear in my heart, at this time I must not conflict with others." But the strong agitation deep in his heart, wanting to kill the person in front of him, he couldn't hold back no matter what. The traffic police also looked helpless. "What the hell, you? How dare you say that?" However, now that there's a lot of traffic, it is absolutely impossible not to step aside. He gestured to his companion to direct the traffic here. He then got into the cab of the A8. Yu Liang opened the door of the passenger compartment and sat in as a matter of course. In the back seat, the faces of Yi Linglong and the two sisters were so red that they were ashamed to see anyone. Yu Liang closed the door and saw the traffic policeman was about to start the car. He immediately said, "Officer, call for backup." The traffic policeman was taken aback, then looked up with a puzzled look on his face. "What is that? Have you encountered a neurosis?" Sister He Linglong was also startled. Her big eyes were full of puzzlement. Yu Liang took out his mobile phone and showed the photo that He Linglong had sent to him. "Officer, when I was overtaking just now, I saw the woman in the back seat of that Jetta. She was holding a sleeping child. This is the child." "Ah!" Sister He Linglong turned pale with shock. The traffic policeman was also shocked, and his expression immediately became serious. "Real? Of course it's true. Or I'm crazy. Why don't you let his Jetta go?" The traffic policeman's eyelids twitched. This kind of thing, of course, would rather believe it than believe it. He nodded vigorously, lowered his head immediately, and said to the intercom in front of his chest, call the headquarters, call the headquarters. There are human traffickers here. Maybe they are human traffickers. Urgently need support." The two sisters looked at each other, then opened their cherry mouths together and looked at Yu Liang in unison. Turn out to be, just now, how much contempt they felt for Yu Liang in their hearts. At this moment, they felt so guilty in their hearts. It turns out that Brother Yu is actually a man who is affectionate, righteous, decisive, and upright. Chapter 46. Under the command of the auxiliary police, the Jetta pulled over and stopped. Although it has a certain impact on the traffic flow, it is much better than the situation just now. However, There seemed to be a problem with that A8. Not long after the traffic police got in the car, they got out of the car, opened the hood, and checked something. Hubin rolled his eyes. What the hell? What kind of 8 is this? What about a luxury car? It's so easy to hit. Even my own broken Jetta can't hit it. After more than 20 minutes, the traffic police still couldn't figure it out. Judging by his appearance, it seemed that he finally chose to give up. The traffic policeman came over and said in front of his face, "There's a problem with the start, call a tow truck." Then he beckoned and said, "Take out your ID card, driver's license and driver's license. I'll register, and we can go." However, at this time Yu Liang came over and said, "What? Can he leave?" The traffic policeman said kindly, "You guys are in a traffic accident. After I deal with it, of course you can leave." "No, my car can't even move." "Why can his car go?" "Hey, can you be reasonable?" "I'm very reasonable. Since my car is impounded, then his car must also be impounded. This is not impounding the car. I don't care, my car can't leave anyway, and his car can't even try to leave." Yu Liang reached out and tapped the traffic policeman's face and said, "I remember your police number. If you let him go for selfishness, I will kill you." "Complain to you?" Hubin laughed a little angrily. However, looking around, there seemed to be more and more people watching. He finally couldn't take it anymore. "Hu Fei, take your sister-in-law and nephew. Go home first and deal with the family affairs. I will be back later." Hu Fei hesitated and said, "Okay." He winked at the woman in the back seat, and that woman also had a bad look on her face. Reluctantly, she got out of the car with the child in her arms. Although there is no car, they can take a taxi. At the very least, you can get out of here quickly. Otherwise, with so many people, God knows what will happen. At this time, many people in the surrounding crowd began to shout, "Who is this guy? So domineering." The traffic policeman is also useless. They have been pointed at their noses, and they still don't say a word. He, driving a luxury car, is awesome. Several people secretly turned on the video and were recording live. Everyone has a scale. What is right and what is wrong? Everyone sees it and has their own evaluation. Seeing Yu Liang's domineering appearance, I don't know how many people cursed secretly in their hearts. However, at the next moment, a sudden change occurred. The woman in the back seat was holding the child. Her feet fell to the ground, and she followed Hu Fei for a few steps. Before they could wave for a taxi, several burly men suddenly jumped out from the crowd. They rushed forward. Those who press their heads, those who hold their hands, and those who pull their legs, pull their legs. Another person quickly snatched the child from the woman's hand. Their shots were as fast as lightning, leaving no reaction time for these two people at all. By the time they reacted, they were firmly pressed to the ground, unable to move. Hubin was talking to the traffic police, explaining that he had no problem. Seeing this scene suddenly, he trembled with fright. Then, he reacted immediately, turn around and run in the other direction. The traffic police and the auxiliary police on the side had long been on guard. If he didn't run away, but looked confused, maybe he caught the wrong person. However, since I ran away, do you still need to ask? The two immediately chased after them, but before they could catch up with them, there were already two big men in front of them sweeping their legs and overturning Hu Bin. Afterwards, the four big men pressed up together. Hu Bin let out a scream and felt that his body was about to be crushed in half. The entire arrest process was like a gust of wind sweeping fallen leaves, and it was as quick as lightning. The scene was chaotic for a while, and those who took pictures with their mobile phones were even more confused. What the hell? It was obviously a scene where the owner of a luxury car made trouble for no reason. How did it turn into a gangster movie in the blink of an eye? At this time, some talents emerged from the crowd. "Everyone, we were arresting human traffickers just now. In order to ensure the safety of the baby, we acted out a scene. Please stop filming. Whoever filmed something, please delete it immediately. You boys stay here, I saw you filming. And you little girl, please stay here for a while. This is a criminal case. Please treat it rationally and don't make trouble for yourself." There was an uproar in the crowd again, and then discussions arose. However, at this moment, no one really dared to take pictures anymore. "Officer, how is the child?" The child was alive and angry, but he didn't know what to eat and fell asleep all the time. Send it to the hospital quickly. Ah, okay, the police car clears the way. Hurry up. Yu Liang shook his head and said to the officer, who was obviously the boss, Officer, are you all right? Can I go? Ah, of course. But, Mr. Yu, this is a criminal case. I don't know if you are free. Can I trouble you to come to the police station to make a record? If you don't have time, we can make an appointment. Yu Liang glanced at the two sisters in the back seat and said, Okay, it's okay to go to the police station. Chapter 47. Yes, I saw it. Mr. Yu, Miss He, please drink some water. It was the first time for Yu Liang to enter the police station except for the time when he was applying for his ID card. To be honest, he was still a little curious in his heart. The heart is magnanimous, and the ghosts and snakes are not afraid. Seeing Yu Liang's appearance, the police officer in charge of recording also nodded secretly. On the contrary, the two sisters were a little nervous. Mr. Yu, can you tell us what happened in detail? The policeman asked kindly. He has kept records for many people throughout the year. However, it was the first time that someone was so willing to give such a good attitude. There is no way the person in front of him is trying to catch the traffickers. He even drove the 2 million luxury car he just bought and took the initiative to hit someone else's Jetta. Although in the city, under the congested traffic conditions, such a collision can only be regarded as a scratch at best, and it is impossible to cause too much damage. But that's a new car. Not to mention anything else, but this kind of heart deserves enough respect from others. Yu Liang nodded and said, Okay, 2 of my colleagues invited me to dinner today. Huh. The police officer was taken aback. What's wrong? Oh, it's nothing. They're the ones treating you to dinner? Yup. Okay, please continue. Okay. When we were having dinner, we saw in the circle of friends that some traffickers abducted children. Yu Liang said in a deep voice. We didn't take it seriously at first, but when we passed that Jetta, I accidentally saw that the woman in the back seat picked up the sleeping child. This child, it looks exactly like the one that was abducted. Yu Liang nodded slightly towards the two sisters and said, I was afraid that I was wrong, so I asked them, and He Ling Long also said that I saw it. So, I bumped into it. After that, you should all know. Ah! He Ling Long's eyes widened. I said, see? When did I say that? Wow, sister, you are really amazing. He Ling said in surprise, so you saw it at that time? Only then did He Ling Long remember. It seems that Yu Liang did question them before crashing the car. Did you see it? At that time, He Ling Long didn't know what she was thinking, so she just said something in a daze. I see. As for what he saw, only God really knows. However, she did say this sentence at the time. However, if she had known what Yu Liang was asking, she wouldn't have said it if she was killed. But at this time, looking at the police officer in his sister's gratified eyes, He Ling Long opened her mouth, but couldn't tell the truth no matter what. Well, I saw it myself. Well, that's right. I did see it at the time. This trafficker deserves to be hit. Thinking of the child being rescued, he also had his own share of credit. He Ling Long felt extremely happy. She felt that she did see something. Yes, I saw that too. He Ling Long nodded vigorously. Half an hour later, the police showed the 3 people the interrogation record and signed it. He stood up and said solemnly, 3. On behalf of the child's parents and the police force, I thank you for your dedication. It is because of your brave actions that this child was successfully rescued. Yu Liang smiled and said, Officer, you are welcome. This is what we citizens should do. The police officer hesitated for a moment and said, Mr. Yu, your car was hit. We can issue a certificate if the insurance company. Yu Liang waved his hand and said, Hey, I hit this car, and I should be responsible for the damage, so I don't need to take insurance. The policeman gave him a deep look, but he didn't force it. People who can afford a 2 million car are rich and self-willed, and it's nothing. As long as he likes it, that's fine. However, honorary certificates and bonuses, what should be given, they still have to give. The 3 of Yu Liang walked out of the police station. The 2 sisters looked at each other and looked up at the sky. There is actually a feeling like a world away. It was supposed to be a meal, but I didn't expect to be involved in such an exciting event of arresting human traffickers. It was simply too exciting. Yu Liang smiled and said, Xiao He, I'm sorry. Ah, what? Today I surprised you? No, brother Yu, what you did is right. We admire you very much, He Linglong said with a blushing face. The sisters were very embarrassed when they thought of their initial suspicion of brother. Fortunately, before they showed their estrangement, they saw Yu Liang's true face. No matter what, I didn't have sex today. Or, tomorrow night, I invite you. Seeing that the two sisters seemed to want to talk, Yu Liang was the first to say, don't refuse, otherwise you will have a problem with me. The two sisters looked at each other. Their hearts twitched inexplicably. Chapter 48, 50 million, enough to buy a house. When I got home at night, Yu Liang didn't say anything. Although what happened today is quite exciting, but speaking of it, it still has a certain degree of danger after all. Even if Yu Liang could ensure that he would not encounter even the slightest danger. However, once anything is linked to human traffickers and car crashes, parents will feel extremely worried. So, Yu Liang didn't say a word about it. After returning home, first played with Xiao Yi for half an hour. When it was time, Shihui kicked her son out of the bedroom in disgust. When leaving the bedroom, Yu Liang vowed in his heart that he would book a big house tomorrow. The new home has a dedicated playroom for Yi. To save myself and my mother from seeing and hating each other, go into the bedroom and close the door. Yu Liang took out the computer and turned it on. The host spends 2 million today and can draw twice. Do you want to draw? Whether? Yu Liang thought for a while and asked tentatively, can the lottery be directly converted into points? The host has 2 chances to draw a lottery. Is it converted into points? Whether? Yu Liang was very interested in lottery draws before. However, after using the skills and items of the magic hard drive 3 times today, Yu Liang understood deeply the preciousness of these skills and items. Therefore, the first thing he needs to ensure is to allow himself to use these items or skills at any time. Then, points are indispensable. I only spent 200 million today just to give it a try. Seeing this display, Yu Liang clicked yes. Immediately, enter the hard disk, and all prompts disappear. Yu Liang opened his property panel. Host, Yu Liang. Race, human. Possessibility, full score 5 points. Sixth sense, permanent. Computer software, LV, 0.9. Computer hardware, LV, 0.4. Visual simulation, single shot. Own items. Garbage station, permanent. Portable space, permanent. King Kong talisman, single. Number of lucky draws owned, 0 times. Points, 7 points. Well, sure enough, 2 points were added to the points. Hey, the magic hard drive is too stingy. Only 2 points were given for 1 million consumption. Look at their system, 100,000. No, if you spend 10,000, you will be given 1 point, so it's cool to use it. Suddenly, a line of words jumped out on the computer screen. Which system? Yu Liang was startled for a while, only to feel goosebumps all over his body. He grinned and said with a chuckle, just kidding, don't mind. The writing on the screen slowly faded away, and Yu Liang breathed a sigh of relief, but he didn't dare to complain anymore. He carefully looked at his attributes. There is no such thing as skill duplication. Although the driving skills are still there, Yu Liang feels a little bit sad when he thinks that the feeling of being one with the car will disappear after the next day. Visual simulation, there should have been asterisk 2, but now there is only 1 copy. Map queries, single, are also gone. Oh, the effect of the map query is still there, but Yu Liang couldn't remember what to query for a while. Click on the points option. There are purchase amounts for various skills and items. Skill copy, 2 points. Map query, 1 point. Visual simulation, 1 point. Well, I used 2 visual simulations today, a map query and a skill copy. That is to say, a full 5 points were used. However, he only spent a mere 2 million yuan, and all of them were redeemed for points, which was only 2 points. Only spent a mere 2 million? Yu Liang blushed slightly. I was drifting away, and even regarded 2 million as nothing. Well, try to buy a car and a house tomorrow, spend a little more, and earn points back. However, what is needed most now is to spend points first to complete the items and skills used today. Buy skill copies. Purchase map inquiry. Buy visual simulations. After a while, there was a new change in Yu Liang's attributes. Host, Yu Liang. Race, human. Possessibility, full score 5 points. Sixth sense, permanent. Computer software, LV, 0.9. Computer hardware, LV, 0.4. Visual simulation, single asterisk 2. Skill duplication, single. Own items. Garbage station, permanent. Portable space, permanent. Map query, single. King Kong talisman, single. Number of lucky draws owned, 0 times. Points, 4 points. Well, apart from the fact that the points are too low, which is a little unsightly, Yu Liang is quite satisfied with the rest of the items and skills. Then, the next thing is to start the program that you like to hear and see every day. Yu Liang turned off the magical computer and sent it into the portable space. It's better not to take this thing out casually. After that, he turned on his desktop computer and logged in to major digital virtual currency trading websites. Today, the warning level of the sixth sense is very low. Yu Liang didn't understand the reason, but he acted completely according to his sixth sense. The price of Bitcoin has not fallen yet. On the contrary, it is steady and rising. $200 more than the original. But this time, Yu Liang sold a full 200 Bitcoins. Among them, there are 25 bank cards from 3 foreign banks and 132 bank cards from 9 domestic banks. In this way, foreign deposits reached 2.7 million US dollars, and domestic funds are becoming more and more exaggerated. Several bank cards add up. The total amount has reached 52 million. Well, buy a house in Yongcheng. Enough! Chapter 49. Go, go, go. Yu Liang opened WeChat on his phone. After searching for a while, I successfully found Qi Xiaoya. I bought a car worth 2 million in her hands today, and it must have earned her a large commission. So, it shouldn't be too much to ask a little bit too much. Yu Liang, are you there? In a certain apartment building in the urban area, Qi Xiaoya had just finished washing it. Today is her lucky day, and she met a big fool. However, it was because of this big fool that she was able to get a 6-figure commission and bonus. This amount of money is enough to make the salesman in the company envious. Moreover, she didn't have to pay any price. That nasty rich second generation wants to fish, so let him wait slowly. However, just when she was lying on the bed, she wanted to have a good sleep. The phone rang suddenly. This is the notification tone of WeChat. Inexplicably, Qi Xiaoya had a bad premonition in her heart. Pick up the phone and have a look. What the hell? It's really the rich second generation who came to buy a car today. Whoops, not good. It seems that this guy couldn't wait because he didn't take the initiative to contact him. So what to do? Although she was selling cars, she never thought of selling herself as a gift. But Qi Xiaoya gritted her teeth, thinking that this job is not easy to come by. This commission, after all, has not yet been obtained. If that rich second generation suddenly repented and came to return the car, then she would really become the laughingstock of the company. So, she endured the discomfort and opened WeChat. Qi Xiaoya. Yes, Mr. Yu, what's the matter? Yu Liang. My car crashed. Qi Xiaoya. What's the meaning? He came to the message so late, but instead of asking himself to go out to play, he told himself that his new car was hit. However, the new car was hit, so it's none of my business. While she was still thinking about the logic between the two, new news came again. Yu Liang, you are in the car sales business. Let me ask, do you still have 2 million cars in your place? Qi Xiaoya's face flushed suddenly. It turned out that this rich second generation didn't want to go there by himself to accompany him, but want to continue to buy a car. OMG. After the new car crashes, I'm going to buy another one right away. Moreover, it is still a luxury car worth 2 million. How rich is this man? However, she immediately woke up. No matter how rich Yu Liang is, it doesn't seem to matter to her. Now, Boss Yu is looking for her to buy a car. Qi Xiaoya. Mr. Yu, may I ask, do you want to buy a car worth around 2 million yuan? Yu Liang. Starting from 200, all of the above are acceptable, but it is best to make up a whole number. Integer? See also integer. Qi Xiaoya. Mr. Yu, do you have any requirements for models and brands? Yu Liang. Existing car can drive, not supercar. Don't overrun, then the range of options is much smaller. You know, the supercar is the most expensive big toy. Qi Xiaoya. Mr. Yu, please wait a moment, let me ask you. She immediately entered the elite group of car sales. In this group, it's not just her colleagues, but Xiaoying Street. No, it should be said that it is a large group of salesmen from many 4S stores in Yongqing. In fact, if Yu Liang does not limit the price, Qi Xiaoya would like to recommend other models in her shop to him. However, the 2 million guarantee, well, in the Audi brand, only A8 and R8 have this price. However, don't overrun. It is impossible for her to recommend the same A8 again. If she really did this, then Qi Xiaoya believed that Bossy would block her in an instant. Therefore, it can only be cheaper for others. Qi Xiaoya, everyone, there is a big boss who wants to buy a car. Existing car new, not a supercar. The minimum guarantee is 200, and more could be deducted from me if there is an existing car. 5 minutes later, Qi Xiaoya received several messages. This is the greatest benefit of modern informatization. What information is available, the communication between peers is extremely convenient. Of course, if this is more successful than the transaction, then Qi Xiaoya will definitely receive an introduction fee, and the money will not be small. In about half an hour, Qi Xiaoya had already received offers for more than 20 existing cars. After thanking her, she sorted it out, combined it into one file, and sent it to Yu Liang. There are so many cars of different brands, with prices ranging from 2 million to 6 million. Boss, you should be satisfied. Qi Xiaoya. Mr. Yu, I have found these cars for you. If you are not satisfied, I will help you to have a look. Just a moment later. Yu Liang. There are too many. Please recommend which one is better. Qi Xiaoya's eyes widened. Can this also make me recommend? Boss, what are you thinking about this? As soon as she gritted her teeth, the old lady went all out. But at least you have to eat a fat man with one bite. Qi Xiaoya, Mr. Yu, this Bentley Mulsanne is an 8-speed automatic 6.8T. Most of the interior is top-end, but the price is a bit expensive, and it costs 5.12 million. I think only it is worthy of you. Yu Liang. Okay, this is the one. Swipe your card to pick up the car at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. You send a location. By the way, find a way to add something to me and make up a whole number. Round up? See also rounding up an integer. However, how can we get together 880,000 based on the existing car? This is really difficult. After Qi Xiaoya communicated with the person who provided the information, she sent the location with trembling fingers. At this moment, her heart was surging, a mind full of questions. If Yu Liang let her go, where would she go? Or go? Still go? However, not until the next morning. His grandma is a hammer. Qi Xiaoya, who had a pair of panda eyes, was indignant. It's really not as good as a beast to let my old lady hang out all night. Chapter 50 buy one get one free. The next day, early Sunday morning, Yu Liang gets up. Since I made an appointment with someone at 9 o'clock, I can't be late. This is a good habit that Yu Liang has developed since he was a child. Under the stick education of his father, Yu Liang still abides by the concept of time. After breakfast, Yi was still sleeping. Yu Liang dawdled for a while and left home. When I went out to take a taxi, I was still on the street of the 4S store in Xiaoying. At 8:50, Yu Liang has already arrived outside the Bentley 4S store. Just after getting off the car, before he took out his mobile phone to call Qi Xiaoya, a graceful figure ran out from the living room door. Yu Liang took a look. It's fine, don't bother. Mr. Yu, hello? Qi Xiaoya smiled like a flower. Yu Liang glanced at her, frowned slightly, and said, Miss Qi, the makeup you put on today is very thick. Qi Xiaoya was young and beautiful, and her own conditions were very good. There is no need for heavy makeup at all. For her, putting on heavy makeup will not only fail to show her advantages, but will cover up her greatest assets. However, after hearing this sentence, Qi Xiaoya was itching with hatred. What the hell, if you didn't keep me up all night last night, I wouldn't have 2 dark circles. What if you want to cover dark circles without heavy makeup? However, if she complained, she could only complain in her heart, and she didn't dare to show the slightest bit on her face. Yu Liang didn't mind Qi Xiaoya's thoughts. Anyway, his sixth sense didn't feel any danger. That means there is nothing wrong with that car. Where's the car? Qi Xiaoya hurriedly said, Mr. Yu, please follow me. At this time, another salesman who belonged to the Bentley 4S store also ran over quickly. Yu Liang nodded to him, without any intention of talking. That sale is also interesting. After greeting Yu Liang enthusiastically, and then looked at Qi Xiaoya meaningfully, she no longer deliberately pestered her. Obviously, he clearly misunderstood something. However, Qi Xiaoya didn't have any intention of explaining or getting rid of it. To be honest, if Yu Liang is an old man, even if Qi Xiaoya reluctantly parted with her, she still had to break up and understand. However, the two are about the same age as each other. So what else is she talking about? In the living room, the sales staff respectfully explained the current Bentley Mulsanne to Yu Liang. This car was originally ordered by a big boss in Shanghai before the production of Mulsanne was discontinued. But in the same way, accidents happen to the boss. And more than one boss will have an accident. Therefore, the car was owned by the 4S store Moda headquarters. This time it was transported to Yongcheng, in fact, to participate in the Auto Expo that is about to start half a month later. It would be the best thing if it could be sold at the fair. But now, it is even more surprising that there is hope to sell it before the expo. In fact, these words cannot be said in sales. However, he did not dare to offend Yu Liang. To be able to take out 6 million to buy a car without blinking an eyelid, and even ask for a round number, and it is still a person who moves upwards, not a person who moves downwards. How could he be offended by a small sale? Dragon Country is the country with the best law and order in the world. However, if the rich have accumulated enough anger in their hearts, then such a small person like him is absolutely unbearable. At that time, missing arms and legs will be considered lucky. Therefore, the salesman would rather not make the money, but make the situation clear in advance. The money of the rich is actually not easy to cheat, unless it is those full-time scammers who are already wandering around with the idea of cheating and leaving. Otherwise, ordinary people rarely have the guts to deceive the rich, because it is too easy for them to want revenge. After hearing this, Yu Liang nodded slightly and said, "Understood." The salesman looked at Qi Xiaoya blankly. "Understood? What does it mean?" Qi Xiaoya got a little sense of Yu Liang's temperament and said, "Mr. Yu, if you don't mind, we'll settle it." "It is good." The salesman let out a long sigh of relief and said, "Mr. Yu, that's how it is. You said you wanted to round up the number, and you said you wanted to pick up the car today, so the configuration of this car can't be changed. We thought of a way." He glanced at Qi Xiaoya and said, "You pay 6 million, and we will give you an Audi Q7 as a gift." Yu Liang was taken aback. "Doesn't this mean that he bought 2 cars at once?" Qi Xiaoya quickly said, "Mr. Yu, the Q7 I prepared is the 2022 55 TFSI Quattro Sline Premium model. It is definitely suitable to be your spare car." Yu Liang thought about it. "That's okay. If the Bentley Mulsanne also crashes, you really need a spare car." He stood up and said, "Okay, swipe the card, and then I will drive away." Qi Xiaoya hurriedly said, "Mr. Yu, it's inconvenient for you to drive 2 cars at the same time by yourself." Yu Liang thought, "Nonsense. You are capable. Show me 2 cars at the same time. How about I help you drive back?" Yu Liang thought for a while and said, "Forget it. I'll leave that car with you for now, and I'll come and drive it when I'm free." The Bentley salesman raised his eyebrows, and then immediately returned to normal. Nothing seemed to be heard. Chapter 51: Wild Visitors. After swiping the card, Yu Liang drove away in this ultra-luxury Bentley Mulsanne. However, he also had his own troubles. Whether it is the home he lives in now, or the newly bought home in Chongfeng Plate, neither fit the car. Although the new home of the Chongfeng Plate, the house price is not cheap. However, even Yu Liang, who is no longer sensitive to money, knows that it is definitely not a good choice to park a car at the price of a house in that community. The only places that can park this kind of car are the basements of villas and ultra-luxury large flats. Yu Liang originally planned to buy a house when he had more funds. But the fortunes are not as good as people's fortunes, and now they are forced to get started in advance. Fortunately, he had already made preparations, and he had already taken a fancy to the house he wanted to buy a few days ago. Yongcheng New World. This is the top supermarket that Yongcheng has developed in the past 2 years. The location here is exactly located near Sanjiankou, and it is the golden location among the golden locations. The community is positioned as a high-end real estate, and it is the most high-end one. Although there are no villas inside, the price is no less than villas at all. Yu Liang drove a Bentley Mulsanne into the sales office of New World. When they drove in, the saluting posture of the security guard seemed to be particularly upright and standard. At the same time, when he parked the car, another security guard stepped forward and graciously opened the car door for him. If Yu Liang was driving that Q7 today, perhaps the two security guards would not be so careful. Under the guidance of the security guard, the two of them entered the hall. Welcome, for beautiful girls bent down and saluted together. There are not many people in the hall, because New World is no longer in new real estate. Even if it is the second phase of the extension, it has passed 2 months, so there are not many people who come to see the house. At present, the lobby is deserted, and there are not as many people looking at the house as there are staff. Yu Liang walked in, suddenly stopped, and looked at a girl next to him in surprise. And on that girl's face, there was also a hint of surprise that could not be concealed. Yu Liang? The girl asked cautiously. Deng Lily. Yu Liang finally remembered her name. It has to be said that although Yongqing has 6 districts, 2 cities, and 2 counties, however, the downtown area is still too small. For aboriginals who grew up in urban areas, they can meet old friends at any time. Deng Lily is a junior high school classmate of Yu Liang. Well, Deng Lily was very beautiful when she was in junior high school. However, because she is so beautiful, there are many disputes, and her grades are mediocre. In the end, after graduating from junior high school, Yu Liang went to a key high school, while Deng Lily went to a vocational high school. The two never met again. Oh, can't say the same, because in the second year of graduating from junior high school, they held a class reunion. But after Yu Liang went to university, he really hadn't seen him. Deng Lily nodded vigorously and said, "Yes, it's me." She rolled her beautiful eyes and looked at the colleagues around her, with an indescribably smug look in her eyes. "This client is mine." One of the salesmen had an ugly expression on his face. The few of them are here, apart from the guests they brought. They are also welcoming those wild customers from outside. This kind of customer source has no sympathy to talk about. Whoever receives it is his client. Of course, it's impossible for people to fight at the sales office. So, there's a roster. According to this schedule, take turns to receive new, wild customers. Normally, Yu Liang should be the salesperson. She was very happy, because they all got the news from the security guards. This time it was a big client who drove a Bentley. No matter what kind of Bentley it is a real luxury car. However, unexpectedly, Cheng Yaojin appeared halfway. This rich customer actually knew Deng Lily, a stinky bitch. If she has already started to receive Yu Liang now, Deng Lily can't grab the guests. However, before she even spoke to her, the idiot knew what the final result would be. Sure enough, Yu Liang smiled and said, "Deng Lily, you are doing sales here." "Yes." "Old classmate, are you coming to see the house?" "Nonsense. Why don't I come here to see beautiful women without looking at the house?" Yu Liang smiled and said, "That's right. I'm relieved to have an old classmate here. Can you introduce me?" "Okay." Deng Lily hit the snake with the stick and walked up immediately. The two circled around the sand table map and sat down on the sofa in the VIP room. Although she is an old classmate, Deng Lily still showed her best skills when introducing her. The introduction is over. Yu Liang directly picked up the list and asked, "Has anyone bought this set yet?" Seeing what Yu Liang was referring to, Deng Lily couldn't help but gasp. The look at Yu Liang was a little weird, because what he was referring to turned out to be the most expensive set of buildings in the second phase of the New World. Penthouse duplex with a sky pool, a super flat floor with an area of up to 1101 square meters. Chapter 52, Super Flat Layer. After being numb for at least a second, Deng Lily finally woke up. At this moment, she suddenly became excited, as if she had fully breathed out, and her whole body was full of energy. However, she still gritted her teeth and said, "Old classmate, this is the most expensive apartment in our community. There is only one apartment in a building. It has 10 rooms and 10 bathrooms. She paused and said, "Everything in this house is good. Only one is bad." Yu Liang asked with interest, "What's wrong?" "It's too expensive. It's really too expensive," Deng Lily said with a wry smile. "You also know that the housing prices are soaring now, and the average price of this community has reached more than 80,000 per square meter. Therefore, its total price it is as high as 90 million. 90 million. Yu Liang frowned slightly. Deng Lily thumped in her heart, feeling that this deal was about to leave her. Although the old classmate drove a Bentley. However, a Bentley and 90 million yuan are completely different things. Many people grit their teeth and can afford a Bentley. However, no matter how hard they gritted their teeth, they still couldn't afford this set of buildings. However, she heard Yu Liang speak slowly. "I don't have that much cash on hand. At least give me a week to raise money." Deng Lily almost couldn't catch her breath. She looked at Yu Liang. At this moment, in her eyes, the old classmate seemed to be exuding infinite, dazzling light. "Did I hear it wrong?" The old classmate didn't dislike the high house price, but said that he didn't have that much cash on hand. Isn't this normal? The richer a person is, the more he knows how to use money. Who would keep nearly 100 million in cash with him at all times? Moreover, as Yu Liang said just now, it only takes a week to raise so much money? This already made her not know what to say. Yu Liang stood up and said, "Old classmate, show me the house." Okay, now, wait a moment." Deng Lily was a little incoherent. In fact, if you change to a strange customer, even if a rich person could afford this house, Deng Lily would not show such a gaffe. However, this person is Yu Liang, an old classmate she knew. This feeling is quite different. So, she was a little bit at a loss. However, Deng Lily had been in sales for several years after all, so she calmed down very quickly. She then went to the supervisor and asked for the key to the top floor. After hearing Deng Lily's request, all the salesmen exclaimed, especially the salesman, who was supposed to receive Yu Liang's turn, widened her beautiful eyes as if she wanted to bite Deng Lily to death with one bite. Because everyone knows that if this deal is successful, then Deng Lily will instantly become a little rich woman. Even if Yu Liang bargained to the bottom line, Deng Lily's commission was at least 7 figures. If you don't counteroffer, they didn't dare to think about it anymore. Soon, Deng Lily got the key, and with a sweet smile on her face, she led Yu Liang to see the house. It wasn't just him, there was a security guard behind them. Of course, the security guard was 5 meters away from them, so he didn't approach them at all. "Old classmate, the first floor of this building is more than 500 square meters, and the 2 floors of the duplex add up to 1,100 square meters. If you buy it, then both floors will be yours." Yu Liang nodded slightly. 2 floors, a total of 1,100 square meters, with a super large space of 10 bathrooms. Yu Liang was very satisfied with this, because if they live here in the future, besides their family, they will definitely take their grandparents over. Although Grandpa and Grandma are separated from their family now. But when Yu Liang was a child, he also grew up under the care of these 2 old people. It's okay if you don't have the ability. Now that we have the ability, we must take over and give them old age. Originally, sure, we planned to accompany and take care of her in the old community. But how can it compare to the convenience of living together? Moreover, for such a big house, it would take a long time to walk from the east to the west. In this way, parents should not have much time and interest to take care of themselves. In short, Yu Liang is very satisfied with this. However, looking at the empty blank, Yu Liang frowned slightly and said, "How much time does it take to decorate?" Deng Lily was delighted, because what Yu Liang said was not to dislike the lack of decoration here, but to ask how long it would take to decorate. This shows that he is really thinking about buying it. "Old classmate, our company has cooperation with the top 10 decoration companies in Yongcheng. You can ask them to submit the design drawings and then choose one," Deng Lily said in a deep voice. "Don't worry, they will never dare to deal with a luxury house like yours. Play tricks. Otherwise, they will lose the luxury real estate market in Yongcheng." Yu Liang nodded slightly. There is no doubt about it. The profit of decorating a luxury house is worth many ordinary houses. But what the luxury real estate market pays more attention to is word of mouth. Once word of mouth collapses, there is really nothing left. Chapter 53, How many points are there tonight? Seeing Yu Liang's undisguised satisfaction, Deng Lily thought for a while, and then said softly, "Old classmate, if this house is really bought, the decoration will also cost a lot of money, at least 8 figures. Yu Liang couldn't help but laugh, and said, "I've already spent the money to buy the house, so why are you afraid of the money that didn't go into the renovations?" Deng Lily was startled, thinking about it too. The big head is out, but it's rare for the small head to beat Yu Liang. She gritted her teeth and said, "Old classmate, if you go through my channel, I'll go to the manager and try to give you a cheaper price. I dare not say more, but this amount should be able to be achieved." She gritted her teeth and extended a slap. Yu Liang smiled and said, "If you bargain with the manager, will it affect your commission?" "Of course. Raising the cost is based on the selling price, which increases step by step." "Well, I remember you said just now that this house is 90 million, right? What a neat number. Hee, isn't this a higher quotation, so that it is convenient for you big money to counteroffer?" A normal salesman would definitely not say these things, but the relationship between the two is somewhat different after all. Yu Liang pondered and said, "Deng Lily, if you promise me one condition, then I will buy this house through your channel. And you don't need to bargain, it will be 90 million. Deng Lily's face immediately flushed red. She bit her lips lightly, her eyes flowing like water. At this moment, she was indescribably charming. "Okay, you say? I bought this house. Don't tell anyone, especially the old classmates." Deng Lily's eyes widened slightly. A strange feeling filled her heart. "What the hell? My defense value is all cleared, but you were telling me this." Although she had mixed feelings in her heart at this time, she immediately calmed down and said, "Okay, old classmate, don't worry, I will never tell anyone, not even my parents." Yu Liang was surprised. "What does your parents have to do with me?" However, the other party had good intentions after all. "Okay, let's sign the contract." Yu Liang said in a deep voice, "I have 40 million on me. I need to pay a deposit first, and within a month, transfer the remaining 50 million into your company's account." "That's okay." Deng Lily nodded repeatedly and said, "Yes, of course." She hesitated for a moment and said, "Old classmate, are you really planning to pay the full amount? Don't you take any loan at all?" "Yeah, the bank interest rate is so high. Why do you need a loan?" Deng Lily was taken aback. Yes, this sentence makes sense. It's just that many people don't have that much money on hand when they buy a house, so they have to take out a loan. "Well, and are you going to buy the house in your own name or in the company's name?" Buying a house can be tax deductible, and there is a lot of room for manipulation. There is no quota limit. Many rich people use the name of the company when they buy big-ticket items, such as houses and cars. Yu Liang smiled and said, "My company hasn't been established yet. Let's buy it in my own name first." Deng Lily was suspicious. "You don't even have a company. Where did the money come from? Could it be the money from the family?" However, in her memory, the junior high school classmates are a group of ordinary people. It is impossible for anyone to have such strength. Could it be that Yu Liang's family only developed in these years? However, he was able to spend so much money to buy a mansion worth hundreds of millions of dollars for the younger generation, plus taxes and renovation costs. It was more than $100 million anyway. Such a family is also amazing. Perhaps this is also my own chance. After thinking about it, Deng Lily said, "Old classmate, I don't want to lie to you either. If you buy this apartment with 90 million yuan, I can get a lot of commissions." "I will." Yu Liang waved his hand and said, "I don't care how much you can raise. I think this house is worth it, so that's fine. What do you want to do? Want to get my commission back? Damn it. What if the magic hard drive doesn't recognize the commission and the commission is included in the total price? Then I don't want to lose a lot of points?" Deng Lily looked at Yu Liang excitedly, nodded vigorously, and said in a low voice, "Okay, thank you." Soon, they returned to the sales office. When Deng Lily said that Yu Liang decided to buy this penthouse, and the price was exactly 90 million, the whole sales office became a sensation. Countless people looked at Deng Lily with eyes full of envy, jealousy, and hatred. After signing the contract, Yu Liang swiped his card on the spot and paid 40 million yuan. This time, he swiped several cards in succession before he managed to collect 40 million. However, no one is laughing at it, because each card can generate at least a few million. The entire net worth of this group of people may not be comparable to a card that someone took out at random. Just like that, what qualifications do you have to laugh at others? After swiping the card, Yu Liang also looked relaxed. Tonight, there should be a lot of points. It's really so exciting. Chapter 54, Overthinking. The two sisters He Ling Long were not natives of Yongqing. Therefore, it is impossible for them to have a house in Yongqing. And with their current income, even if you work until you retire, you can't even think about buying a slightly better house in Yongqing. Of course, if they work hard in the future, get promoted and raise their salaries, then there is a high probability that you will still not be able to afford it in this lifetime. Unless relying on their beauty and marrying a good husband or something, they are eligible to permanently station in this city. Now, because they are interns in the company, even for interns, the company has rental arrangements. So, they live in an old shabby little room near here. Although Yu Liang had never been there, he heard Yi Ling complain when chatting. An old house with 3 bedrooms, 1 living room, and 1 bathroom. There are 6 female employees to live in. There are 2 people in each room, so the space is utilized to the extreme. Of course, this is a company renting a house, and they only need to share the water and electricity costs equally. Otherwise, the two sisters might not be willing to live there. Yu Liang didn't drive today, nor did he park his car in the basement of the company building. Parking a 2 million Audi A8 there already makes people with a discerning eye whisper a few words. If the Bentley Mulsanne is parked there, Yu Liang believes that it only takes 1 day for him to resign. However, he does not want to resign just yet. At the very least, he won't resign before the 2 little girls' internships are over. So, Yu Liang parked the car in the parking lot of a nearby 5-star hotel and opened a long-term room of an executive suite in the hotel. It's not that I have any intentions, it's just for the convenience of parking. Then he asked the front desk to book a small box in the restaurant and 1,000/person, the standard meal fee for 3 people. Among the 3 people on WeChat, Yelena, brother Yu, where are you? Didn't you say you want to eat? Yu Liang, I've already arrived at the restaurant. Yelena? Yelena, where's the restaurant? Why didn't you tell us? Yu Liang, oh, didn't I say that? Halo, I forgot, thought I said it. He backhanded the location of the hotel. Yu Liang, address. Yu Liang, I'm in the Manhwa box on the 3rd floor of the hotel. Come here. The 2 sisters looked at each other, both a little speechless. This brother Yu is too sloppy. However, when they looked at the address carefully, they were all a little dizzy. Ling Long, brother Yu won't really treat us to dinner here, right? He Lingna murmured. This is a 5-star hotel. I haven't eaten here yet. He seems to have the strength. Then why did he invite us to dinner here? Helena blinked her eyes and said, this is a hotel. Tell me, has he already opened a room? The 2 sisters stared wide-eyed, a little speechless. After a while, Ling Long whispered, perhaps Brother Yu is not such a person as he? That's not necessarily the case. Then, are we not going? No, we've already agreed, so I'm sorry if we don't go. Helena rolled her eyes and said, otherwise, after we go, if he wants to drink, we won't drink. That is it. The 2 little girls finished their discussion, dressed up a bit, and boldly went to the hotel. If Yu Liang's appointment was in an ordinary restaurant, such as Heiyu Restaurant, the 2 of them definitely didn't have so many ideas. However, changing to a 5-star hotel made them suspicious. When he arrived at the hotel, Yu Liang asked for the food to be served directly. Looking at the pair of little sisters who were cautious and seemed to be wary in their eyes, a strong 6th sense told Yu Liang, it is best to do nothing today and take things slowly. Until they get used to their own existence and this way of getting along, then everything is possible. So, this evening, Yu Liang honestly invited them to dinner. After eating, I didn't ask to stay or go shopping or something. It's like completing a task. After eating, they go home and find their mothers. In the evening, Sister Ling Long returned to the small room. Looking at the surrounding environment and thinking about the resplendent appearance in the hotel, they felt a little lost for no reason. It's not that they hate the poor and love the rich. This is just a natural reaction of normal people. Ling Long calmed down, hummed loudly, and said, Nana, I said before Brother Yu is not such a person. Look, he didn't even prepare wine today. Ling's face flushed slightly, and she said, "Maybe I really wronged him." After a pause, she said, "Ling Long, do you think brother you wants to chase you after all?" Ling Long rolled her eyes and said, "Brother, you never said, maybe, he wants to chase you." Suddenly, both sisters were taken aback. They stared at each other, and after a while, they shook their heads vigorously together. Impossible, I must be thinking too much. Chapter 55 Beauty Filters, 1 year period. Xiao Liang, it's Monday tomorrow. Go to bed early today. Got it, Mom? Yu Liang responded, and then closed the bedroom door. Although he has already bought a house, Yu Liang does not plan to tell his parents right away. In a few days, let's talk about it after he works hard to make money and pays the full amount. Otherwise, if I let my parents know that I owed 50 million yuan in debt and didn't pay it back, they might be scared to death on the spot. Yu Liang didn't want any surprises. I looked at my bank card. Originally added up, there is a huge sum of 52 million. However, today I bought a 6 million car and paid another 40 million deposit. It adds up to 46 million, so in the current bank card, there are only 6 million left. So poor. Yu Liang suddenly had such a weird feeling. With 6 million cash, I still feel poor. I'm afraid there is no one left. Taking out the computer from the portable space, Yu Liang clicked in. Then a message emerged that made him smile. The host spends 46 million today and can draw 46 prizes. Do you want to draw prizes? Whether. Nonsense, of course the choice is yes. Even if you draw 3 times in a row, you still have 43 points. It seemed that the long-lost roulette suddenly appeared on the screen, and then the pointer turned rapidly. 20 seconds later, the pointer slowly stopped on the item. Congratulations to the host. I have won another beauty filter 1 year. Do you use it? Whether. Yu Liang fell silent again. Although he has known for a long time that with the virtue of a magical hard drive, there is a high possibility that some strange items or skills will appear. However, he never thought about it. Today's draw. To be able to win the other category that has never appeared before. Beauty filter? This thing looks a bit like an item category. But why is it classified as other? 10 years ago, or when Douyin was not available, the term was not widely used. Only those computer enthusiasts will persistently get some picture viewing software. However, when Douyin came out with a sweeping posture in Lioha, almost most people know what beauty filters are. It is precisely because of the beauty filter that it is on the internet. The cricket pot has become a handsome guy, and the moldy girl has become a beautiful woman. Under the beauty filter, as long as you are not Sister Fong, no, even if you were Sister Fong, you can change into Pan Jinlian in seconds. Is there any truth on this network? Perhaps only when all the beauty filters disappear is there such a possibility. Yu Liang moved the mouse over the beauty filter. Beautification filter, 1 year period, produce a beautification filter effect on human individuals and maintain it for 1 year. Yu Liang watched the instructions silently. What the hell? The beauty filter is really a beauty filter. He clicked. A box suddenly popped out below. Please, host, to put in the photo. Yu Liang thought for a while, took out his phone, took a photo of himself silently, and uploaded it to the computer. The next moment, his face jumped out of the box. Next to the box, there are a series of options. Whitening, fill light, eye beautification, face modification, etc. Yu Liang had never used a beauty filter before because he thought that it was an exclusive software for women, and he, a man, could not use it at all. However, at this moment, when he made choices one by one, Yu Liang suddenly discovered that, in fact, rough old men can also use beauty filters. The self in that photo has become nothing like himself. Well, actually, if you look carefully, it's still yourself. But is he that white? Is your skin so supple? On appearance? Strange, judging from the facial features. This is indeed me. The eyes are the same eyes, the nose is the same nose, the eyebrows and mouth are exactly the same. However, after combining them, there is a slight difference. All I can say is that it looks very pleasing to the eye. If we say, Yu Liang in the past was just an ordinary young man, there is still a long way to go to be a real handsome guy. But, looking at the face in the photo at the moment, even if Yu Liang is a man, even if he knows that this is his modified face, but he is still absolutely This man is so handsome. This is a subtle improvement in appearance and a friendly improvement in texture and style. Although the whole face is still the same, it is already a different person. After the adjustment, do you want to use the beauty filter 1 year? Whether? Yu Liang watched silently for a while, resisting the reluctance in his heart, and then resolutely chose no. What the hell? If I sleep, I will suddenly look like this tomorrow morning. Mom and Dad are afraid that they have to call the police immediately. Perhaps he has to slowly go through multiple beauty filters to let the people around him get used to it, so that he can finally achieve such an effect. Move the mouse down and glance at its selling price. Whoa! The next moment, Yu Liang finally couldn't help exhaling the fragrance. What the hell? This is too bad. Chapter 56, Unsealing Coupon and 5 Ghosts Carrying Talisman. Beauty filter, 1 year, 10 points. What the hell, Pit? According to Yu Liang's own estimation and calculation, if he wants to use beauty filters, he doesn't want to be discovered by the people who live with him every day. Then, all kinds of beauty effects must be added little by little and cannot be achieved in one step. This process requires the consumption of beauty filters, at least 5, 6, 7, or 8 times. And a little point represents a consumption quota of 1 million. Count less. 5 times. 50 credits. What the hell? Spending so much money today, I thought I was already a little rich man in terms of points. But now I know that the pit of the magic hard drive is lying here. All the hard-earned points are not even enough to use a beauty filter for myself. This other is really the king of the pit. The king of the pit. Yu Liang shook his head, calmed down, and resisted the strong urge to use the beauty filter immediately. Then he clicked on the second lottery draw. A huge roulette slowly emerged, filling the entire screen. The pointer above started to rotate from slow to fast, as if with infinite power. Finally, the pointer slowly stopped. Congratulations to the host. I have won another. Unblocking coupon can only be obtained by lottery. Do you want to use it? Whether? Yu Liang was taken aback. Is it the other category? Is this considered lucky today? They actually won the rewards of this category one after another. You know, there were so many lottery draws in the past few days, but I never saw other. Unblock coupon. Moreover, this thing can only be obtained from the lottery? The mouse in Yu Liang's hand has subconsciously and automatically moved to it. Unseal coupon. It can unlock a sealed or frozen skill, item, or other. Note: this item cannot be purchased with points. It can only be obtained through a lottery, and the probability of winning is 1%. Rubbing his chin, Yu Liang fell into deep thought. What does this thing do? Yu Liang only thought of one, and that was to unlock the second global search function of the garbage bin. That thing can only be used once a month. However, if you use the unlock coupon, it seems that you can immediately search for some other special item. Not bad, not bad. This thing is indeed a good thing. Of course, Yu Liang is temporarily unavailable. After clicking no, Yu Liang continued to draw. Roulette appeared again. Yu Liang clasped his hands together and murmured, "Gods and Buddhas of the heavens, please bless me to draw a good prize." 20 seconds later, the pointer stopped. Congratulations to the host. You have won the item. 5 Ghosts Carrying Talisman, single. Do you want to use it? Whether? Yu Liang's spirit was immediately lifted. As a pure Dragon Kingdom person, one only needs to know a little about the ancient inheritance of Dragon Kingdom. Then everyone should understand, what is the 5 Ghosts transporting technique? Move the mouse down. 5 Ghosts transport talisman. Single any specified item, single piece, or specified creature, single piece, can be moved to the specified position. Range, within a radius of 1 kilometer, weight limit, 10 tons. Sure enough, it has exactly the same function as the legendary 5 Ghost transport technique. However, the effect made Yu Liang extremely satisfied. A range of 1 kilometer is certainly sufficient in most cases, because this 1 kilometer is the radius centered on itself. Then the diameter range is 2 kilometers. At a distance of 2 kilometers, unless you go to a place where you cannot enter, such as a military camp, you will be unable to guard against it. What surprised Yu Liang even more was the weight limit of the 5 Ghosts Carrying Talisman. 10 tons? When seeing this weight, Liang didn't know what to say. What exactly is it that requires a handling capacity of more than 10 tons? Let's take a look at the point price of the 5 ghosts carrying talisman. Hey, why are there two different price points? 5 ghosts carrying talisman. Dead object, 2 points. 5 ghosts carrying talisman. Living creature, 5 points. Oh, it seems that in the eyes of the magic hard disk, the value of living things is far greater than that of dead things. Because it is impossible for a single living creature to weigh 10 tons anyway. But dead things? There are some super large machines and the like, not to mention 10 tons, even hundreds of tons. However, the purchase price is more than twice as expensive for living things as for dead things. But think about it, living is the most important thing. If you die, then everything is gone. Yu Liang moved the mouse and clicked no. Today's 3 lottery draws are full, and the rest of the lottery draws will be converted into points. Please check with the host. The next moment, the screen returned to normal. Although Yu Liang had already counted his points at this moment, he still couldn't wait to open his attribute panel. Host, Yu Liang. Race, human. Possessability, full score 5 points. Sixth sense, permanent. Computer software, LV, 0.9. Computer hardware, LV, 0.4. Visual simulation, single asterisk 2. Skill duplication, single. Own items. Garbage station, permanent. Portable space, permanent. Map query, single. King Kong talisman, single. 5 ghosts carrying talisman, single. Have other. Beauty filter, 1 year. Unblock coupon. Number of lucky draws owned, 0 times. Points, 47 points. Seeing the addition of 3 new abilities and the 47 points, Yu Liang felt a sense of security in his heart. Chapter 57 Bad Premonition. Yu Liang turned off the magic hard drive computer and carefully put it away. Then he turned on his desktop computer and started the required classes every night. Sell bitcoins. Today, Yu Liang already has 3 foreign bank cards and 9 domestic cards. Moreover, he bound 12 platforms that can trade Bitcoin through different IP addresses. Therefore, his transaction security is greatly improved. However, when selling Bitcoins today, Yu Liang found that he quickly developed a very bad feeling. In fact, this bad premonition can be felt many times a day. One account, when selling 1 or 2 Bitcoins, it doesn't even feel like a fart. However, as the sale of Bitcoins on a single account increases, this feeling will gradually emerge. If he still wants to insist on selling, then this feeling will become extremely strong. But Yu Liang is careful in doing things, and he pays attention to the steady flow of water. Business, of course, takes a long time. The kind of person who balds all at once must have problems with his pattern and vision. So, no matter how much Bitcoin Yu Liang sells in a single account, as soon as the 6th sense of crisis reminded him, he would stop immediately. 2 days ago, Yu Liang sold more than 100 Bitcoins, even close to 200 Bitcoins. However, when 86 Bitcoins were just sold today, all of Yu Liang's accounts already had that bad premonition. Frowning slightly, Yu Liang stopped all operations without hesitation, closed all websites, and erased the traces he left on the big broilers. Although I don't understand what's going on. But I'll be careful. 86 Bitcoins. He only sold 35 of the 3 major foreign banks, worth 700,000 US dollars. The 9 major banks in China have 51 Bitcoins, worth 7 million yuan. After a rough calculation, his deposit abroad is 3.4 million US dollars. In China, including the remaining 6 million today, it is only 13 million yuan. Hey, it's not even enough to pay off the balance of the house. At this moment, Yu Liang was very lucky. Fortunately, when he signed the contract, he chose to settle the balance within 1 month. More time is better than less time. But what about Bitcoin? I have only produced such a small amount of goods, so it won't collapse. However, his 6th sense didn't feel anything about it, so there was a high probability that today was just a special case. Although there is still 1 month to pay the final payment. However, Yu Liang is not a person who is used to owing money. Although Bitcoin is good, the speed of realizing it is still too slow. I have to find a way to open source. I am used to selling more than 100 Bitcoins every day, but now it has suddenly dropped to more than 80, which is a bit despised. Well, that log, sell it fast. Strange, it's been a day. Why didn't those two factory owners call themselves? However, Yu Liang didn't know. At this time, Su Qinfeng and Lu Ding were asking people everywhere about the demolition of the factory building. They firmly believe that the city had decided to demolish the abandoned factory area, and they will have a large amount of demolition fees to take. Naturally, they were unwilling to sell the factory to Yu Liang at this time. Yu Liang picked up the phone and glanced at it. He planned to read the news again, then wash up and go to bed. Go to bed early and get up early to have a good body. However, when he picked up the phone, he realized that there were already several messages on it. There are sister groups, He Linglong's and He Lingna's. There is also Qi Xiaoya, the car salesman, and Deng Lily, an old classmate. Strange, the two sisters, why did they send messages to themselves alone? Yu Liang opened the group chat, and the two sisters thanked themselves for the expense. And inside the separate information, He Lingna, brother Yu, do you like my sister? He Linglong, brother Yu, do you like my sister? The corner of Yu Liang's mouth twitched. As expected of twins, even the content of the private chat was exactly the same. He replied in the group chat, Yu Liang, you're welcome. It should be next time I'll take you to eat hot pot. Then, they privately chatted with the two of them respectively. Yu Liang, guess what? Open Qi Xiaoya's WeChat. Qi Xiaoya, Mr. Yu, I'm driving back to the company. However, the company stipulates that the customer's car cannot be parked for a long time. If you don't plan to pick up the car in the short term, I can only drive it home after get off work every day and then drive to the company after work. Yu Liang, yes. Finally, open the WeChat of old classmates. Deng Lily, old classmate, it's not good, are you there? Deng Lily, old classmate, the news of your buying a house has been known by those decoration companies. Now the top 10 decoration companies in Yongcheng have entrusted me with favors and want to take your job. Deng Lily, old classmate, if you're interested, can I ask them to produce the design? Of course, I'm just suggesting that you can ignore them completely. Deng Lily, old classmate, I didn't bother you, did I? Watching Deng Lily's tone change from affectionate at the beginning to cautious at the end. Yu Liang also shook his head secretly. Yu Liang, I had something to do just now, and I didn't see it when I didn't have my phone with me. Yu Liang, let them wait for a few days, then I will go over and make some demands. Deng Lily replied almost instantly. Deng Lily, okay. Old classmate, I won't bother you anymore. Good night. Chapter 58, Different Minds. In the old and small bathroom, He Lingna, who just took a shower and made herself smelly, picked up her phone. Then her good mood was not so good. She stared at her phone. It seemed that the Huawei folding machine in her hand was that nasty guy. I guess you are a grandma's hammer. Inexplicably, He Lingna felt very aggrieved. She can be sure of getting along these few days. Yu Liang must have a certain affection for them. Otherwise, it would not be possible to invite them to eat such expensive things, and also send over 2 mobile phones named Evaluation. But the question is, why can't he say something clearly? Such secretiveness is really not a man. Opening the door with a face full of displeasure, He Lingna left the bathroom and climbed onto the bed. On the other side of the bed, He Linglong was tilting her head. Her thick and slender eyebrows seemed to be a little wrinkled. The two sisters have been together for so many years, and He Lingna can tell at a glance that her sister has thoughts. Linglong, what's wrong? He Linglong raised her head. Her little eyes seemed to be flustered. She quickly shook her head and said, It's nothing. You finished washing? Yeah, it's your turn. Hurry up, or someone will use it later. 6 people, 3 single rooms, but only 1 bathroom. Fortunately, the girls are more self-conscious, and there is no one who feels good about themselves, and I am the number 1. Otherwise, it would be enough to fight just for the bathroom. He Linglong nodded, put down her phone, picked up the towel, and walked into the bathroom. This room is different from the other 2 rooms. Because it was the smallest of the 3 rooms, there was only 1 bed, and the 2 sisters slept together. This was supposed to be a single room. However, the personnel department saw that the 2 of them were interns who had not yet graduated from university, and they were also twin sisters. In addition, there are no beds available in the staff dormitory for the time being, so I settled down temporarily. With this arrangement, the internship was about to end, and no one thought of changing rooms for them. However, for them who have been sleeping together since childhood, it is normal to do so. Moreover, both of them are not the kind of big-boned and big-framed female men. They belong to the petite and exquisite type. Therefore, it is more than enough for two people to sleep in one bed. Helena thought for a while, then suddenly turned her eyes and landed on her sister's bedside. Then, a sly smile flashed across the corner of her mouth. Climbed over and picked up my sister's cell phone. Huawei folding machines generally can be turned on without face recognition. However, their sisters have all set it up. Two identical faces, no matter how smart the computer AI is, it will be fooled. Healing Long checked her sister's mobile WeChat and immediately found Yu Liang. Click to open it. Blink. Helena raised her mouth, a little unhappy. They are all sisters, so let me see what you have to say. She put down the phone and angrily deleted the dialogue between herself and Yu Liang. Isn't it just deleted? It seems that no one can do the same. In the apartment building, Qi Xiaoya hummed a song and put a mask on herself. I didn't sleep well yesterday, and today I made a big deal, so I need to take good care of it and sleep all over again. Tomorrow morning, she has already asked for leave. She intends to reward herself well. It is unlikely that you will get cramps from counting money, but you can still do it occasionally if you sleep until you wake up naturally. Lying on the bed, Qi Xiaoya picked up the phone. When wearing a mask, watching short videos is undoubtedly the best choice to pass the time. However, she saw it right away. The person who made a special note sent her a message back. Qi Xiaoya stopped humming and immediately opened WeChat. Yu Liang. Yes. Can? Qi Xiaoya looked at it over and over for a while, and finally confirmed that the other party only replied with this one word. Such an attitude, just a word, reveals a sense of indifference. Qi Xiaoya's mood suddenly turned bad. Her previous inquiry actually had multiple meanings. Did you drive this Q7 for me? Although the ownership is not hers, even if it only has the right to use it, it is still a very enviable thing. Moreover, such an expensive car, let me drive. What does this mean? We are all adults, it is not difficult to understand. But, look at the word "ko" on the phone. Qi Xiaoya fell into deep self-doubt. Could it be that I am not beautiful enough? Or is the world of the rich really so incomprehensible? Deng Lily breathed a sigh of relief, put down her phone, and took a few pictures of her majestic place. Although Yu Liang is her old classmate in junior high school. However, after what happened today, Deng Lily had no choice but to treat him as an ordinary old classmate. As a real estate salesperson, it's a matter of course to know a few people who are engaged in decoration. After all, after they sold the house, sometimes they could bring a business to the decoration company with just a few words. However, Deng Lily never thought that those friends who were engaged in decoration would become so enthusiastic, which made her a little overwhelmed. But at this moment, Deng Lily felt extremely regretful. I shouldn't have agreed to ask them for them. I and Yu Liang are old classmates. This is the most reliable relationship. Yu Liang is the biggest and thickest eye in my life. What if it makes him unhappy? Then I will really regret it. Thinking of what Yu Liang answered, he shouldn't be angry or impatient, right? Deng Lily gritted her teeth and decided secretly. In the future, if there is no particularly important matter, then no matter what, you can't easily disturb him. The affection of old classmates cannot withstand such unscrupulous consumption. But honestly, the current Yu Liang is really handsome. As for whether he is really handsome, or he becomes handsome because of money, then I don't know. Chapter 59, Buying a Warehouse. In the morning, get up. Today is Monday, I need to go to work. Yu Liang does not reject this, because when I go to work, I can see the twins. Well, when their internship period is over, I might as well resign myself. Before resigning, though, get the warehouse done. Yu Liang ate breakfast at home. My mother's porridge, which has not changed for thousands of years, is still the same. Glancing at Shi Hui, who was in a bad mood, Yu Liang finished eating in 2 or 3 bites and left home quickly. He knew that his mother was very upset about his refusal to honestly explain how many bitcoins he had. Shi Hui was not greedy for his son's money, but was afraid that his son would suddenly become rich and then spend a lot of money and develop a bunch of bad habits. If you run out of money in the future, it will be difficult to go from extravagance to frugality. Yu Liang came to the company and opened the work log. There is nothing important today. That is, at the morning meeting on Monday, he needs to arrange it. All of these are familiar. Yu Liang went to the meeting room, and everything was done within a quarter of an hour. Leaders from various departments came over one after another. It's a pity that the person sent by the office to record today was not He Ling Long. Otherwise, it would be nice for the leaders to have a meeting and see the little beauty for themselves. At the meeting, the leaders spoke freely, and all they talked about were big businesses with a transaction volume of 100,000 US dollars or even more than 1 million US dollars. Watching them pointing at Zhangshan and berating Fang Qiu. What a group of professionals. Inexplicably, Yu Liang's desire to start his own company became more and more intense. Suddenly, Yu Liang raised his eyebrows. I'm so fucking confused. Why are you looking for a warehouse by yourself? Isn't there still an old classmate, Deng Lily? Although Deng Lily sells commercial housing, warehouses are also a type of real estate. It is far more convenient for her to find someone than herself. It's like a doctor. Dentist, there is no way to cut open the patient's belly for gastrointestinal surgery. However, it is far easier for them to find a gastroenterologist for help than ordinary people. In the conference room, time seemed to pass quickly. At 10:30, all the leaders stopped at the same time. The weekly morning meeting ended successfully. Then, Yu Liang and the guy from the office stayed to clean up the mess. Yu Liang put away the thread ball in twos and twos, greeted him, turned and left. If it was He Ling Long, he would definitely go over to help. But for someone else? Forget it, everyone has their own responsibilities and jobs. And if they help too much, it may not be a good thing for others. Taking out his mobile phone, Yu Liang sent Deng Lily a message. Yu Liang, old classmate, do me a favor. Deng Lily, whatever, just ask. The almost second speed made Yu Liang wonder if Deng Lily was just playing with her mobile phone. Yu Liang, I want to find a warehouse, preferably a bigger one. Or an abandoned factory building is also fine, but it must be the one that can be transformed into a warehouse. Deng Lily, how big a warehouse do you want? What are the requirements for the location? Yu Liang, any size is fine. If it's too small, I can rent a few more. The location, it should be around the city, not too far away. Also, the speed must be fast, and it is best to be able to sign the contract and get the key today. Deng Lily, okay, old classmate, are you going to rent it or buy it? Yu Liang, buy if you can, and rent if you can't. Deng Lily, understood, wait for my good news. After explaining, Yu Liang opened the group chat of the trio. Sure, Shiran initiated the message. Yu Liang, it's time for dinner. Let's eat Chongqing noodles today. Put more toppings, it's delicious. And you pay the bill today. Helena, why should I pay the bill? Yu Liang, because Xiaohe and I have already invited, so it's your turn. Helena, anger.jpg. Helena, all right, I'll pay the bill, and I'll hold you to death. Heling Long, smiling face.jpg. The two sisters packed up and went downstairs. The three of them came together naturally. This incident was still so unbelievable a few days ago. However, now they don't feel that there is anything wrong with doing so. When the three of them walked away, two young men looked at each other in the lobby on the first floor of the office building. The ones who passed by just now were sisters Yu Liang and Heling Long, right? Yeah, that's them. How did they get together? It's lunchtime now, I should go to eat. I know, but I remember last Friday, it seems that they also had dinner together. Together today. I know. I also know this kid is good means. By the way, which one is Yu Liang chasing after? He's from the cybersecurity department, and he's familiar with the office. He should be chasing after my sister. This is not necessarily the case. The procurement department also needs network assistance. No matter who he is chasing, there is one more. Why don't you try it? Hey, forget it. They are too beautiful to bear. Soon, the news that Yu Liang was chasing one of the twin sisters spread throughout the company. Chapter 60 Yu Liang, come on. After lunch, return to the company. As soon as Yu Liang arrived at his workstation and sat down, his immediate supervisor, Chen Tao, had already arrived. Yu Liang, you have a good eye, come on. What? Yu Liang was puzzled. What oil to add? What have you done recently? It seems that the company did not assign tasks to itself. He opened the work log again, but still found nothing. However, the look in Chun Tao's eyes just now, no matter how you look at it, something is wrong. Looking at her phone, Deng Lily sent a series of WeChat messages. Open it and have a look. Deng Lily. Picture.jpg. Deng Lily. Old classmate, I found 7 places for you, all of which are for sale. You can sign the contract and get the keys today. These pictures are all edited with photos and text on them. In each photo, the scale and location of the factory or warehouse are clearly explained at a glance. Yu Liang secretly sighed. For professional matters, it is really necessary to find professional talents. If you look for it slowly, you really don't know if you will find the year of the monkey. Yu Liang looks at the price first. From high to low, the highest one, priced at 11 million, is an old factory building, but the location is too poor to be considered. When Yu Liang bought a warehouse, he didn't really want to store many things. Geographical location is actually very important. According to his thinking, the factories of Su Qinfeng and Lu Ding are undoubtedly the best choice. But it is a pity that these two people seem to have misunderstood themselves. On the day of parting, Yu Liang's sixth sense told him. The way they looked at themselves was like guarding against thieves. It is estimated that the possibility of transaction is not great. Oh, what a pity! Yu Liang looked at them one by one. Suddenly his movement stopped. Yu Liang saw the 4th picture. In this picture, it is itself a warehouse. But that's not the main thing. Mainly this address. Take a closer look. What the hell? Isn't this next to Su Qinfeng's factory building? Look at the price again. 3.8 million. Although this warehouse is not as large as the factory building. However, for Yu Liang, that was more than enough. Yu Liang. Picture.ipg. Yu Liang. Old classmate, I want this warehouse. Please help me with the formalities. I want to complete the registration today and get the key. Deng Lily. Okay, I'll go over and talk about it. Old classmate. What is the price in your heart? Yu Liang. For million. Deng Lily. After seeing Yu Liang's answer, Deng Lily was a little dizzy. Did you make a mistake? The price of this warehouse is obviously 3.8 million. What she meant in the past was to lower the price again to see how much the other party was willing to let go. Of course, after the business is completed, the agency fee she received will also be split with other people. However, Yu Liang gave a reserve price of 4 million. What does that mean? Deng Lily looked carefully at the breakthrough. The quotation of 3.8 million, right? Could it be that the old classmate's eyes were dazzled? Yu Liang, I will give you 4 million. As for how much you can squeeze, it has nothing to do with me. I just have one request. You give me the contract and the key when I go there at 5 o'clock this afternoon. Deng Lily took a deep breath. Her old classmate was really generous in doing things. It's so big that I'm so angry. Deng Lily, okay, don't worry, old classmate. I promise to complete the task. You wait for my good news. It's 2:30 in the afternoon. Deng Lily, old classmate, I need a photo of your ID card and a power of attorney. Yu Liang took out his ID card, took photos of both sides, wrote a power of attorney to sign, took photos and sent it. 3:30 in the afternoon. Deng Lily. Picture.ipg. She sent a bunch of pictures, which were the contract and the other party's certificate of property rights and so on. Deng Lily. Old classmate, please deposit the money into this bank account. Yu Liang didn't know how Deng Lily negotiated with the other party, and he didn't want to know whether the account belonged to the other party's company or Deng Lily's own. Isn't it just 4 million? Opened the mobile banking and quickly completed the transfer. For PM. Deng Lily. Picture.ipg. Deng Lily. Old classmate, I got the keys and the contract. Will you come over and have a look later? Yu Liang. Yes, I will come after work. Get off work? Yu Liang still needs to go to work? Deng Lily said she couldn't understand. However, instead of asking, she responded immediately. Deng Lily. Okay, I will wait for you in front of San Curry. Any time is fine. Yu Liang thought for a while and called his mother. Tell her that the old man will not go home for dinner tonight with colleagues. Then he sent a message among the 3 groups. Yu Liang, the company will be waiting for you in the evening. I will take you to see the wood and have dinner along the way. Elena, brother Yu, did you bring your friends wood? Yu Liang, yes. Helena. Then I will inform Supervisor Ian. She is fine today and has turned around in front of me several times. Yu Liang was also taken aback. Ian Lin is usually quite calm. Why is she so impatient today? Could it be that this wood is so important to her? It seems that the price can be raised. Yu Liang, don't worry. Ask her out tomorrow. Let's have an appraisal tonight. Helena. Okay, I'll wait for you after get off work. Ling Long's sister. Speak up. Ling Long, who was pretending to be dead and watching the screen, was helpless. Ling Long. Okay. Chapter 61, Getting Started. At 4:30, Yu Liang and Chen Tao said that they had something to do at home and wanted to go back early. Chen Tao glanced at him and said with a smile, "Are you going shopping?" Yu Liang was startled and said in surprise, "Yes, I've already bought it. Go get it now." Chen Tao said mysteriously, "In the evening, I invited a girl to dinner, right?" Yu Liang was a little surprised. What's going on? Could it be that there are some mysteries around my workstation? But it's impossible. Don't say that this is what I do. If something is really wrong, the sixth sense will definitely remind me. Chen Tao said with a smile, "You are not young anymore, so go ahead and go boldly. I am waiting to drink your wedding wine." Yu Liang rubbed his nose and said, "Master, what are you talking about?" Chen Tao smiled and nodded at him and said, "Why, you still want to hide it from me? You kid went to dinner with others for several days, and your colleagues saw it." Only then did Yu Liang suddenly realize. Damn, I was taken aback. He smiled awkwardly and said, "Master, then I'll go." Go. Chen Tao waved his hand to let Yu Liang leave, and then he suddenly remembered. I actually forgot to ask just now, is it the elder sister or the younger sister that Yu Liang is chasing? Yu Liang left the company and first came to the hotel. Anyway, the road to the hotel is 200 meters, not long. Driving that Bentley Mulsanne on the road, Yu Liang suddenly discovered that his driving skills seemed to have improved a lot. At the very least, in terms of turning, reversing, etc., there is a vague feeling of relaxation. Logically speaking, the skill time for that car driving LV5 has already passed. Of course, Yu Liang's feeling of driving a car now is absolutely incomparable to the feeling of being one with the car back then. However, compared to a real novice, it is already much better. Yu Liang vaguely understood. This may be the skill residual disease, and it is the benefit given to him by the magic hard drive. With this technology alone, it is absolutely impossible to climb to LV5. However, if you usually drive by yourself, that is enough. Before 5 o'clock, the car had parked safely in the warehouse. Yu Liang turned his head and looked not far away. A few tens of meters away is Su Chinfeng's factory building. It was agreed with him at the beginning that if he didn't reply for 3 days, he would find another home. And today is only the second day, and I bought the next door to his house. Old classmate here? Deng Lily came out of the warehouse, and there was an old man with gray hair in his 60s. Old classmate, the warehouse key, the contract are all here, and the official seal, please check. Yu Liang smiled and said, "Okay, you can put it in the car." Old classmate, there is still a procedure to go through for the transfer of ownership. I can do it on your behalf, but I need to borrow the official seal and a photo of your ID card. I want to make a copy. It is good. By the way, this is the original owner of the warehouse, Mr. Chen Yuliang, Boss Chun. He wants to see you. Chen Yuliang took a step forward and said with a smile, "Boss you are really young and promising." Yu Liang couldn't help laughing and said, "Boss Chen is polite, he just has a small business, it's not worth mentioning." The two added WeChat, and Chen Yuliang said goodbye and left with a smile. Deng Lily waited for him to leave, and then said, "Old classmate, I will accompany you in to have a look." 2 people entered the warehouse. The area of this warehouse is not small, and there are still 2/3 of the space inside, with a large number of shelves. Yu Liang looked around and felt very satisfied. "Old classmate, thank you. Next time I'm free, I'll treat you to dinner." Deng Lily's eyes lit up, and she really wanted to say, "I'm free now." However, she has been in sales for so many years, of course she understands the ways of the world. Knowing that this is Yu Liang chasing someone away. Okay, I'll wait for your treat. After a pause, Ding Lily said, By the way, do you want a custodian for this warehouse? I can help introduce it. Yu Liang smiled and said, If there is a need, I will come to you. Well, I'm leaving, goodbye. Custodian? Think too much. Yu Liang bought this warehouse as a place that could be taken out at any time when needed. As for what's inside, it is impossible to put anything valuable. If you look for a custodian here, as well as a purchaser, a delivery person, etc., it is not intentional to cause trouble for yourself. Seeing no one around, Yu Liang walked to the third of the open space. Reach out and wave. The old Indian sandalwood from the factory building just appeared on the open space. Is this stuff really that valuable? Anyway, Yu Liang couldn't see the advantage. Walking out of the warehouse, Yu Liang closed the door, then drove to the company. As for this piece of wood, just put it on the side of the warehouse curry. If it is stolen, he is not afraid, guaranteed to make that thief regret it. Chapter 62 Reborn. Brother Yu, this is that. What old mountain sandalwood? He Ling Long stood in front of the dirty wood with a confused expression on his face. Well, that's it, Yu Liang said calmly. He doesn't know much about wood. However, he believed in the evaluation given by the magic hard drive. Since the instructions in the garbage station are written clearly, then he can just read it according to the script. The two sisters looked at each other. This piece of wood is a bit bigger. But what kind of high-grade wood is this? I really can't see it. Taking a deep breath, Lingna frowned and said, Brother Yu, I checked on the internet, and they all said that Laozhan sandalwood has a fragrance. But this thing is a bit smelly. Yu Liang was speechless. He can't tell people that he picked it up from a real garbage dump. No matter how fragrant things are, if they are not kept properly and placed in a pile of garbage, they will definitely be contaminated with the stench of garbage. Turning his gaze, Yu Liang looked to the corner. There are rags, brooms, dustpans, and mops. Xiao, do me a favor. Ah, what? Pointing to the corner, Yu Liang said, You guys help wash this wood, the surface is clean, and then see the effect. Lingna's eyes widened, and she shouted, Okay, so you asked us to come and clean up? Yu Liang glanced at her indifferently and said, Thank you, Fei. Lingna was tongue-tied and suddenly speechless. She gritted her teeth and said, Ling Long, sister, let's work. Ling Long's beautiful eyes widened, and she really wanted to say something. This is the thank you fee you earned. What does it have to do with me? However, looking at her younger sister's angry look, she still couldn't say anything to refuse. The two sisters went to the corner, picked up the rag and mop, and started cleaning. Yu Liang, over there, Xiao, you didn't wipe it clean. Use some force. Lingna, Brother Yu, why don't you come to help? You are still not a man. Yu Liang took a rag and pretended to wipe it with his hands a few times. Lingna became more and more dissatisfied. Brother Yu, work harder. Yu Liang glanced at him and said, Xiao. What? Yu Liang said seriously, Thank you for the fee. Lingna was stunned for a while, then stared at him dumbfounded, and really wanted to say, I don't want this thank you fee. But think about your internship income in the past few months. Even if the thank you fee is halved, it is at least 5,000 plus. So she turned around and wiped vigorously with a mop. In her heart, she regards this big tree as Yu Liang. Hard. Well, I feel much better. An hour later, with the cooperation of the three of them, the entire trunk was completely new. At the very least, the dirt on it is really gone. At this time, the extraordinariness of this tree seemed to show a little bit. After the old sandalwood has shed the dirty garbage and sawdust attached to it, the whole heart of the tree becomes smooth and moist and exudes a faint fragrance. It seems that there has been a reborn change. Ling Long put her little Cheongbi on the clean tree trunk and took a deep breath. Then her eyes lit up slightly, and she said, Hey, it's really fragrant. I'll smell it too. Lingna also brought her little face closer. Yes, it smells so good. Yu Liang looked at the pair of identical pretty faces leaning side by side, and then smiled like a flower, and couldn't help being slightly absent-minded. He walked up and took a deep breath. It is really fragrant. I just don't know whether this fragrance comes from Laosan sandalwood or their body fragrance. Well, no. They had just worked for an hour and should be sweating. So, it is indeed the aroma of trees. With a thought, Yu Liang said, "You're exhausted. Fortunately, when working at home, I'm much more tired than this." He Ling Long said casually. Yu Liang was taken aback. Why didn't this little girl cooperate? Also, what else are they doing at home? Which family has such a pair of lovely twin sisters, would be willing to let them work? Yu Liang only knew that they were admitted to Yongqing University from other places. Same school, same department. However, the situation of their original families is really not well understood. Helena raised her head and said, "Brother Yu, I want to call Director Ian. Can I? Now? Why? I'm afraid that there will be many dreams in the long night." Seeing Helena clasping her hands together with a pitiful begging look, Yu Liang was suddenly shaken. Anyway, this thing will be sold sooner or later. Earlier, just earlier, and the rent can be paid off earlier. Okay, let's eat first and call during the meal. If she wants to come to inspect the goods, let her come over after a good meal. Okay, Helena said happily. 5,000 yuan, for Yu Liang, is 0.035 bitcoins. However, for Helena, and in turn, it was 2 months' salary. In this world, those who are flooded will die, and those who are drought will die. Chapter 63, You Think Too Highly of Me. Yu Liang brought the 2 children to a nearby private restaurant. This is, of course, a high-end restaurant, and the price is not cheaper than a 5-star hotel. Yu Liang has never been to this store, but he has been to their chain store with his master Chin Tao. Therefore, I am no stranger to the routines and eating methods inside. There are more than 20 boxes, large and small, in the private restaurant. The largest box can seat 22 people, and the smallest box can only seat 6 people. Here, there is no hall, so privacy is very good. Yu Liang asked for a small box and asked the 2 children to sit in the shop. Then, he walked out of the box and called the waiter who arranged the dishes. "Arrange 500 yuan per person dishes for me. According to for people," the waiter quickly said, "Okay, sir. It's late for dinner today, and with another hour of work, Yu Liang feels very hungry, so he must eat a little more. Sir, would you like a drink?" Yu Liang turned his head, glanced at the 2 children who were whispering in the box, and said, "They are too young to drink well. Get me some soy milk and watermelon juice. Hurry up." "Okay, sir." Although private dishes are expensive, the service is very good, and the speed of serving the food is not to mention. Soon, the dishes were served one by one. At around 8 o'clock, the 3 of them devoured hungrily, and when they were 80% full, Helena's phone rang suddenly. She glanced at it and quickly picked it up. "Director Ian, I'm eating nearby." "Ah, are you here?" Yu Liang blinked and nodded slightly. Helena said, "Okay, we'll come over right away, just wait a moment." Putting down the phone, Helena complained, "Director Ian is so fast. Should we want a packet?" Yu Liang looked at her in surprise and said, "Xiao Xiao, haven't you had enough yet?" Helena's eyes widened, and she said, "You think I'm already full? Okay." "Yes." Ling Long chimed in. "She just doesn't want to waste it." Yu Liang grumbled and said, "But we're going to meet the leaders soon, so it's not good to have a packing box, so let's forget about it." Helena looked at the rather rich dishes and said helplessly, "Okay." He glanced at Yu Liang dissatisfied again and blamed this guy for ordering too many dishes. Pity she still doesn't know. In this kind of high-end private restaurant, there is no ordering, but the dishes are arranged by others. Liang also came here once before he knew the rules. The 3 got into the car and drove into the factory building. There were already 2 people waiting at the door. Ian Lin is a strong woman in her 30s. When she saw the Bentley Mulsanne, her eyelids couldn't help but twitch a few times. Then, when she saw that it was sisters Yu Liang and Ling Long who came out of the car, her eyes widened suddenly, and she was almost speechless. As a colleague in the same company, Ian Lin certainly met Yu Liang. Especially every Monday morning, everyone is together. However, Ian Lin participated in the meeting as a department head, while Yu Liang was a dispatcher. But Ian Lin never thought of it. Yu Liang can afford to drive a super luxury car like a Bentley Mulsanne. She took a deep look at Yu Liang, and then at the 2 little girls who timidly followed Yu Liang like little chicks. A thought flashed through her mind. Damn, rich people really know how to play. Then, Lin's face was filled with a smile that she had never seen before, and she walked up to meet her quickly. If today, instead of seeing Yu Liang, if today, Yu Liang is not driving a Bentley Mulsanne, well, she would definitely not be so enthusiastic. But at this time, she has already decided. Yu Liang is actually a rich second generation. The reason why he came to the company is because, damn, who knows what's in the heads of rich people? The ghost knows what he wants to do when he comes to the company pretending to be poor. However, Lin would never take the initiative to expose it, but acted as if she hadn't seen anything. However, she didn't know what Yu Liang was thinking at the moment. Anyway, Sister He Linglong's internship period is still more than 1 month at most, and he plans to leave his job and start his own company. So, I didn't bother to hide it. Director hello. Lin smiled and said, Good evening, Yu Liang. Is that wood yours? Thank you for willing to give up such a good wood. She was initially apprehensive. How could He Ling's connections have such a way? However, when she saw Yu Liang at this moment, she suddenly realized, this is a hero who throws a lot of money and a Bomai smiles. Yu Liang smiled slightly and said, This is a friend from the antique world, Mr. Huang Haoran. Yu Liang nodded to him and said, Let's go. The wood is in front of the curry. Open the warehouse and turn on the lights. Lin and Huang Haoran walked in. Their eyes turned, and they saw the big log on the blank area in the warehouse without any surprise. At this moment, Huang Haoran's expression changed. He suddenly turned his head and said, Mr. Yu, is this what you're talking about? Yu Liang nodded and said yes. It is 1 meter long, and the smallest diameter is 0.96 meters. It is produced in Mysore, India. It is an old root center log. The tree is 80 years old, and it has been placed for 40 years after felling. It has completed the mellow process. Old mountain sandalwood. Huang Haoran was tongue-tied, blushing, and murmured, Fuck, I'm just kidding. Now, how can there be such a big deal now? The corners of Lin's mouth twitched slightly. Her face turned blue and red, and she was speechless for a long time. I buy wood to make prayer beads for people, but I never thought that I would buy such a Big Mac. She turned to look at Yu Liang. The eyes are extremely complicated. Yu Liang, Mr. Yu, Mr. Yu, Mr. Yu, you think highly of me too. Chapter 64, Get Rich. Huang Haoran collected his mind and walked over. Then he put on the gloves carefully and began to stroke the wood. Just look at his movements and demeanor. You can know how careful he is at this time. Sisters He Linglong glanced at each other and immediately thought of the rough movements and attitudes of the two of them cleaning this big log just now. The two sisters immediately closed their mouths firmly, pretending that they hadn't seen anything or thought of anything. Lin finally came back to her senses. She hesitated for a moment, came to Yu Liang's side, and said with a wry smile, Yu Liang, I'm sorry. What? I can't afford this piece of wood of yours. Oh, I bought wood to make bracelets for an extremely important elder. I only prepared 500,000 yuan, which should be enough to buy ordinary raw materials. But this, she said helplessly. Xiaoyi, they didn't tell me that it was such a big deal. Otherwise, I wouldn't have come here to take the humiliation. Yu Liang thought for a while and said, You just want to make a bracelet? Yes. Okay, I still have a small piece here, which should be enough to make a bracelet. However, it will take 2 days to give it to you. Ah, thank you, thank you. Lin quickly thanked her. Then she remembered something and turned to face the two sisters. Looking at these two identical faces, Lin was also a little confused. I had no choice but to say casually, Xiaoyi, thank you. With a look of disappointment on her face, He Lingna said, it's okay. Director don't you want to buy it? Yu Liang laughed dumbfounded and said, Director Xiao has been thinking about your thank you fee for a long time. Lin was suspicious. She is yours now. Why is she still thinking about my little thank you fee? You rich people's thoughts are really unpredictable. However, she is shrewd. No matter what she thinks in her heart, her face is calm. The thank you fee will definitely be given. Xiaoyi, thank you for helping me find such good wood. I will transfer it to you. She took out her mobile phone and transferred 10,000 yuan directly to WeChat. Lingna's face was full of surprises. Looking at the large transfer on the phone, she wanted to accept it but dared not accept it. He couldn't help but look up at Yu Liang. Unknowingly, she has regarded Yu Liang as the backbone in matters involving money. After all, among these thank you fees, there is still a share of Yu Liang. Yu Liang smiled slightly and said, "Take it and thank you, Director Yin." And Lingna clicked to accept, and then said sweetly, "Thank you, Director Yin." "Haha, Xiaohe, I'm not much older than you. You can just call me Sister Yin from now on." Lingna hesitated for a moment, but said, "Okay, Sister Yin." At this time, Huang Haoran, who was inspecting the wood, finally stopped. He sighed a long time and said, "Unexpected, unexpected." Although Yin Lin had already confirmed that, judging by the car Yu Liang was driving, it was impossible for him to lie to herself. However, in her heart, there is still a trace of curiosity. "Mr. Huang, what's the matter?" Huang Haoran shook his head and said, "Unexpectedly, there are still such well-preserved aniseed ingredients. It's incredible." After a pause, he said again, "Hey, just now someone washed this material with water. It was not cleaned carefully, and there were some slight injuries. Damn, hateful." Lingna blushed immediately. She took the wood as the hateful Yu Liang just now, and when she scrubbed it, she used a lot of strength. Thinking about it now, she immediately blushed, wishing that there was a hole under her feet so that she could hide in it. Yu Liang said indifferently, "Mr. Huang, since you have checked, please give me an evaluation. Huang Haoran is a big shot in the antique world. I came here today to see the authentic Indian Laozan sandalwood, which is extremely rare now. However, he never thought of it. Not only did I see it today, but I also saw a supergiant." At this moment, his mood was extremely excited. It costs money for others to ask him to appraise. However, being able to identify such a large piece, and it is likely to be unparalleled in the world. This is also an honor for him, and of course it is impossible for him to raise any money. Besides, Yu Liang drives a Bentley Mulsanne, and he has such a big material in hand. Building a good relationship with such rich people is far better than earning 3 melons and 2 dates. "Mr. Yu, to be honest, I really can't evaluate such a large material," Huang Haoran said solemnly. "However, I think that if someone bids less than 20,000/kg, then you should not sell it." 20,000 per kilogram? Lingna on the side widened her eyes and finally couldn't help but exclaimed. Linglong also took a deep breath, acting no better than her sister. The two of them just wiped this thing. "No, this guy is heavy, with over a ton. 20,000/kg, isn't that?" For them, this amount of money is simply unbelievable. Lingna exclaimed, "Wow, brother Yu, your friend has made a fortune. This piece of wood can sell for more than 20 million. "Yeah." Linglong nodded like a chicken pecking at rice. "Friend? Get rich?" Yin Lin and Huang Haoran looked at each other, but they were silent. What friends would? This is clearly Yu Liang's own. Also, more than 20 million yuan is a lot, but it also depends on who you compare it with. One of Yu Liang's cars costs more than 5 million yuan. Would he regard 20 million as a fortune? However, since Yu Liang did not explain, they also chose to remain silent at the same time. Silence is gold. Lest misfortune come out of your mouth. Chapter 65 ABCD Both. Yu Liang laughed and said, Xiao, do you know what a price is but no market? Director Yin won't buy it. So no matter how high the price is, what's the use of it? To be honest, he really wants to sell this thing now. Perhaps this thing is quite precious. But the problem is Yu Liang can't appreciate this stuff. Arriving at the origin of Laozan in India, Yu Liang couldn't believe that he couldn't find better ones in the garbage dump. So, this thing is still worth the money. Except the stuff is too big and too good. As a result, Yin Lin couldn't afford it anymore. However, if you don't buy it, you don't buy it. It's only 20 million, which is less than 150 bitcoins. Wait 2 more days, and you'll have it. Lingna was startled, and then thought that Director Yin had already said that she couldn't afford it. Think about it too, more than 20 million. Who would spend more than 20 million yuan to buy such a piece of waste wood? This is not stupid. Hey, no, this old man actually gave an assessment of more than 20 million, which is probably not reassuring. Huang Haoran moved slightly in his heart and said, Mr. Yu, if you really want to sell, I can help you contact the buyer. Yu Liang gave him a surprised look. Huang Haoran said again, Don't worry, I don't want an intermediary fee. I just hope that in my lifetime, I can see this big piece, which can be carved into a suitable accessory, and I will be satisfied. Yu Liang blinked his eyes, and at this moment, he looked at him with admiration, because Yu Liang's sixth sense told him that this person was not lying, and that these words were completely sincere. Okay, Mr. Huang, if you can contact a buyer, I can sell it. Huang Haoran said excitedly. Okay, thank you, Mr. Yu. Yu Liang waved his hand slightly and said, You're welcome. He paused and said, You too, it's getting late now. Lin hurriedly said, Yeah, it's getting late now. We should go back. Yu Liang, see you tomorrow. She winked at Huang Haoran, and the two turned around and left. It was getting late. God knows if Yu Liang wants to do something with the twin sisters. Anyway, they don't want to get involved, and the farther they go, the better. Xiao He, do you want me to take you back? Yu Liang sniffed his arm and said to himself, I've been sweating for so long. I want to go to the bathroom and take a shower. It's fine if he doesn't say it. But when he said that, Sister He Ling Long suddenly felt something was wrong. The two looked at each other, and there was a hint of longing in their eyes. Yu Liang stretched his waist and said, Hey, Jua's big bathroom is the most comfortable to take a bath in Indiana. I really miss it. Oh! He seemed to have just remembered the two people in front of him, and then asked, Are you going or not? He Ling Long opened her mouth, but before she could refuse, He Lingness said, Go. The little girl raised her mobile phone and said, I just received 10,000 yuan in benefits. I invite you. Yu Liang looked strange. Xiao, there is still half of me inside. He Lingna's face suddenly collapsed. Brother Yu, you can't talk about which pot you want to carry tomorrow. Yu Liang laughed loudly, glanced at the time, and said, It's 8:15. It's lucky to be in time. Hurry up. The two sisters were puzzled for a while. What does it mean to be in time? However, after getting along these few days, they have gotten used to following Yu Liang's arrangement. The three got into the car, and Yu Liang started it. He Lingna suddenly said, Wow, brother Yu, are we leaving like this? What's wrong? Wood 20 million. Yeah, the 20 million timber is still in Curry. Yu Liang chuckled and said, Don't worry, there are people guarding the warehouse. The two children felt relieved, but they were still a little confused. Someone guarded? Why didn't they see it? Yu Liang didn't go directly to Jiayue, but first drove the car to Tianyi Underground parking lot. I'm going to get something. I'll be right back. You guys wait in the car for a while. The two little ones nodded ignorantly. Yu Liang walked out of the parking lot and entered the International Commercial Building as quickly as possible. At this moment, he regretted it a little. If I had known today, I should have kept the WeChat account of Chanel's sales. However, the high-end shopping malls in Yongcheng closed relatively late. The lights are usually turned off at 9:30. It's only 9:10, so it should be in time. When Yu Liang entered the front of Chanel, someone greeted him immediately. Mr. Yu, hello? Yu Liang saw that it wasn't the last sale, but the store manager himself. It's hard for her to remember herself. In fact, with Yu Liang's way of buying things, it's hard for ordinary people to forget each other. What's more, such a big deal may not come across once a year. Yu Liang nodded and said, I need 2 sets of women's clothing that I can wear now, from the inside to the outside. Please help me match them. As soon as possible. Okay, Mr. Yu, what size do you want? Small M. Both of them are petite and exquisite, and M size is definitely suitable. You want 2 sets? Are they the same? We can help you match different styles, which look like different styles. No, it's the same. Okay, so what is the number of the underwear? Yu Liang was taken aback for a moment, then said, All of them. What? A, B, C, D. You should match all 4 of these. Most likely A or B. But Yu Liang didn't dare to gamble. As for the legendary E and F, Yu Liang felt that if he sent this number, it seemed to be more insulting, and he probably would be angry. By the way, is there a shop here that sells men's clothes? Give me a set, both inside and out. Okay, Mr. Yu, sit down for a while, and I'll take care of it for you right away. Chapter 66 Luxury is a profiteering industry. 20 minutes later, when the two children were waiting impatiently in the car, looking forward to it, Yu Liang finally appeared. Brother Yu, are you going for a while? He Lingna couldn't help complaining. If you wait any longer, it will be dawn. Yu Liang raised his head and glanced at the ceiling of the basement. The light is very bright, no difference from daytime. Here, this is for you. Everyone has a bag, and they are all the same. Don't quarrel. In Yu Liang's hand, there are 3 big bags. Fortunately, he is young and strong. Otherwise, it would be a bit difficult to hold. Throwing 2 of them into the back seat and 1 into the co-pilot, he started the car and drove towards the bathing place. The 2 sisters looked surprised. When they got the bag, they immediately recognized the logo on it. Chanel? He Ling Long couldn't help but look at her sister. Ah, isn't this Nana's favorite luxury brand? Of course, liking it the most doesn't mean you have to own it. Anyway, most of them just look at it online, drooling secretly in front of the screen, but they have never been to a specialty store, nor have they expected anything extravagantly. However, they are very familiar with Chanel's trademark. At this moment, their eyes were quite strange. Brother Yu went up to buy clothes for them? Brother Yu, what are you doing? He Ling Long asked in a low voice. The voice was low, which meant that there was no music playing in the car at this time, otherwise it might not be audible. While driving, Yu Liang said in a nonchalant tone, I have a friend who works as a manager here, and I asked him to prepare 3 sets of clothes for me. He paused and said, after taking a good bath, I don't want to wear old clothes. They are sweaty and dirty. Sister He Ling Long was originally a clean person. They can bear it if they have no choice. However, being so pointed out by someone and then looking at the clothes on his body, he suddenly felt uncomfortable. But this is Chanel. What about Chanel? Yu Liang chuckled and said, don't be fooled by its price. Do you know how huge the profits are from clothes? Sister He Ling Long's eyes lit up immediately. The 2 of them are not saints who keep their ears to the outside world. Through the introduction of various platforms on the internet, they certainly know that the ultimate huge profits in the luxury clothing industry are extremely considerable. However, how impressive it is hard to say. Yu Liang smiled and said, in the future, if you have any luxury goods you want to buy, don't go to the counter. Come to me, and I can get their purchase price. He Ling lay on the back of the chair and asked, Brother Yu, what is the purchase price? You guess? He Ling's little face suddenly collapsed. Guess again? He Ling Long was also aroused by curiosity and said, Brother Yu, is it 1/10 of the price? Yu Liang smiled and said, what is luxury? Your guess is too conservative. Wow! The 2 sisters exclaimed, suddenly felt aggrieved, and tried their best to denounce the huge profits of the luxury goods industry. Even the Chanel clothes in his hand seemed less precious. However, they do not know. Fang Jian knows the purchase price of a fart. No matter how profitable the luxury goods industry is, the purchase price of terminal merchants cannot be so low. It's not the ex-factory price of the factory. How could it drop to less than 1/10 of it all of a sudden? This is not a miscellaneous brand and a goods, but a real luxury. Only if Yu Liang didn't say so. The 2 little ones absolutely refused to accept it. Yu Liang moved slightly in his heart and said, by the way, this is from my friend. Don't spread the word everywhere, otherwise it will be difficult for him to be a man. He Ling Long and the 2 nodded repeatedly. This is called making a fortune in silence. Of course they understand. They have no doubts that Yu Liang has such a friend. They even have 20 million with friends, so it is normal to have one more director of a large commercial building. The car quickly drove to the bathroom. The 3 separated and went to the changing rooms of the male and female guests respectively. After receiving the cards, he opened the closet. He Lingna unzipped the belt, glanced at it, and blushed instantly. Ling Long, brother Yu, what's wrong? He Ling Long also opened the bag, and then she was also dumbfounded, and then a blush welled up on her face. In the pocket, apart from a set of seasonal clothes and trousers, there are also underwear. This is a girl's personal thing, so how can he be embarrassed? But how did Yu Liang know their sizes? Oh no, there are 4 sets of underwear. Looking at the model number, there is still something they don't understand. In addition to the embarrassment, there is an inexplicable feeling called xiaoxin, which permeates from the bottom of my heart. Of course, you can't say it with your mouth, and you have to put on a wronged look on your face. The two boys glanced at each other. Neither of them dared to speak. Their faces were blushing. Their hearts were jumping wildly, and they entered the bathhouse as if they had a guilty conscience. Chapter 67 Skill Lock and Upgrade. Bath. Steaming. Then, Yu Liang sent the two of them back to the dormitory without arranging any further projects. In fact, Yu Liang originally wanted to go to a massage shop and take them to enjoy massage services. He has been there twice with his master Chin Tao, and he thinks his technique is very good and the massage is very comfortable. But thinking about it, the two children should be quite resistant, so I didn't mention it. I don't know if it's because of the clothes, but after the two little ones took a bath, they became even more radiant. However, when Yu Liang looked at them, their eyes were a little averted. Yu Liang was afraid that if he pushed them into a hurry, it would have the opposite effect. I didn't make fun of it anymore, and after sending it home, I drove the car to a hotel, and then went home obediently. Yu Hai and Sure Hui didn't care about their son coming home so late. They are all 25-year-old guys. Isn't it normal to go out to dinner or sing a song with friends by chance? If Yu Liang was shut up at home and tinkering with the computer every day, the two of them would have a lot of preoccupations. Yu Liang greeted his parents, glanced at his younger sister who had already fallen asleep, and was sent back to his room by his mother. Turn on the magic hard drive. The host spends 4 million today and can draw 4 times. Do you want to draw? Weather? Yes. The next moment, the roulette appeared and the pointer began to rotate. 20 seconds later, when the pointer stopped, the item column was locked. Congratulations to the host. The item has been drawn. Skill lock card, single. Do you want to use it? Weather? Skill lock card? What is this? Yu Liang thought for a while and hovered the mouse over it. Skill lock card. Single, the host can use this card to lock copied skills or previously copied skills as their own skills. War? Is there such a good thing? Yu Liang's whole body was a little boiling. He once copied the ability of a car king level master. When the skill of driving LV5 in a small car is in hand, the feeling of being one with the car is so clear and unforgettable. Although Yu Liang's driving skills now have improved a lot compared to when he just picked up the car. However, compared with the self who seemed to be omnipotent at that time, it was a world of difference. This can be seen from the properties panel. He didn't even have a skill in driving a small car. What is a skill? Being able to appear on the skill panel means one thing. Even if your skill is only LV 0.1, with this skill, you can still find a job and support yourself. With Yu Liang's current driving skills, he can usually go on the road without any problem. But say you want to drive for someone else? It is estimated that no one is willing to spend this wrong money. Looking at the price of the skill lock card, it turned out to be 2 points, the same as copying skills. After thinking about it, Yu Liang chose yes. Then a form appeared in front of his eyes. However, in this form, there is only one option. Skills, car driving. Does the host want to lock the skill, car driving, as his own skill? Weather? Yes. Immediately, Yu Liang felt that he seemed to have changed. But it doesn't seem to have changed. He shook his head and continued to draw the lottery. 20 seconds later, the pointer stopped again. Congratulations to the host. The item has been drawn. Skill improvement card LV. 1 single. Do you want to use it? Weather? Skill upgrade card LV. 1 single. The host can use this card to upgrade one of his skills to LV. 1. Yu Liang was stunned for a while, looking at the 3 skills in his attribute column that didn't even reach LV. 1. His face turned reddish. The selling price of this item is very cheap, only a little. But think about it, this is also what it should be. If you spend 1 million, learn a certain technique. If you can't reach LV 1 level and can support yourself, then you are too stupid. Continue to draw. However, the reward this time took him by surprise. Congratulations to the host. The item has been drawn. Skill improvement card LV. 1 single. Do you want to use it? Weather? Worthy. Yu Liang finally understood. It turned out that the magic hard drive couldn't stand it any longer. This was forcing myself to upgrade these 3 skills to at least LV1. All right, Yu Liang didn't want to fight hard, so he converted the last lucky draw chance into points. Then, I bought 2 skill upgrade cards LV1 single and a skill lock card single. As the saying goes, be prepared. All the skills and items, as long as there are, he will get a backup. Have you used the skill improvement card LV1 single time *4? Whether yes, please choose a skill that can be improved. Skills, computer software, LV 0.9, computer hardware, LV 0.4, car driving, LV 0.5. Do you still need to ask? Yu Liang used 3 skill improvement cards LV1 in succession. His personal attribute panel suddenly changed. Host, Yu Liang. Race, human. Possessibility, full score 5 points. Sixth sense, permanent. Visual simulation, single *2. Skill duplication, single. Computer software, LV1. Computer hardware, LV1. Car driving, LV1. Own items. Garbage station, permanent. Portable space, permanent. Map query, single. King Kong talisman, single. 5 ghosts carrying talisman, single. Skill lock card, single. Skill upgrade card LV1 single. Have other. Beauty filter 1 year. Unblock coupon. Number of lucky draws owned 0 times. Points 44 points. Chapter 68, Believe in Yourself. For a while, Yu Liang had a feeling that he was learning computer knowledge and car driving skills day by day. It seems to have been studied for several years. It seemed like only a moment had passed. However, when he woke up and looked at the time, only 1 minute had passed. However, Yu Liang knew that he was different from before. And it's very different. A huge amount of knowledge poured into his mind, giving Yu Liang a little bit of understanding. If it is said that he has only learned a layer of computer technology before, this is actually the normal level for most computer science students after they graduate and work for 2 or 3 years. It's just that, even if it's professional fur, it's also professional. Much stronger than ordinary people. But now, he has learned deeply to the second layer of fur, to the point where he has come into contact with flesh and blood. As for driving skills, well, it's more than enough to be a driver. To be a driver. Yu Liang turned off the magic hard drive happily. Tonight, although there are no outlandish skills or items, but he is content. This kind of achievement obtained through one's own efforts is far more reliable than any skills and items. The miracle hard disk is stunned. Working hard on your own? What a big face. Turned on the desktop. Yu Liang is about to start his daily work again. Sell bitcoins. When he made the shot yesterday, his sixth sense gave him a very bad feeling. Therefore, he only sold dozens of them before stopping. Hope to be able to transfer today. I don't know if his prayers worked, but Yu Liang felt smooth sailing when he sold Bitcoin today. On the major platforms, there are many people who have paid for it. Yu Liang bought a total of 213 pieces before stopping. More than 200 pieces. This is another time that Yu Liang sold such a huge amount. My heart is naturally happy. On the 3 foreign accounts, the funds have skyrocketed. On average, each account has an additional income of about 30 bitcoins. Now the overseas account has a total of 5.2 million US dollars. The domestic account increased even more, a full 17 million. In this way, the money from the 9 bank cards added up to 26 million. It's not too far from paying off the mortgage completely. No, there are also taxes and the money for future renovations. Hey, I'm still very poor. You have to work harder. After a sleepless night, when Yu Liang woke up the next day, he felt refreshed and full of energy. Well, when I open my eyes every day, the first thing I do when I wake up is to think about how to spend the consumption quota of today's lottery. I don't ask for points, but the places for the 3 lottery draws must not be wasted. Yu Liang wanted to see how many moth-like items and skills this magical hard drive could produce for him. 3 million. Buying a house and a car can be consumed quickly. The former can only pay a down payment for an ordinary new house. However, it is a bit difficult to spend 3 million on a daily basis. Xiao Liang, you're awake? Yes, Mom. Just wake up, come and have a look. Shihui urged. Yu Liang walked over in a daze. Shihui turned on her phone and was browsing through clothes. Not clothes for her age, though, but show clothes. Mom, what are you trying to do? Yu Liang felt a little terrified. Hey, isn't this Yi's performance on June 1st? The kindergarten attache's great importance to it, and specially allocated a sum of money. Sure, we said happily. You also know that Yi is the lead dancer, so Teacher Lu asked me, what kind of performance costume should I wear? Don't worry, the school will pay for it and reimburse you. Yu Liang's expression was rather strange. However, seeing his mother's excitement, he said, Mom, I think your vision has always been better. Sure, Hui hesitated for a moment and said, but I'm afraid that I'm different from the young people's eyes. How is it possible? If you don't believe me, choose a set and send it to see what Teacher Lu has to say. Sure, Hui was stunned and said, oh no, how can my vision compare with other mothers? Yi's classmates, although they are all about the same age as her. But Yi is the second child, and most of her classmates are firstborn. So, while both are parents, but the age difference is a bit big. It's only natural that Sure Hui doesn't have much confidence in her vision. Mom, try it. Yu Liang smiled and said, you really don't like it? Sure Hui pointed to one of the pictures and said, I think this one is pretty good. Send it to Teacher Lu. Under her son's concern, Sure Hui finally sent it out. Soon, she was pleasantly surprised and said, Son, Teacher Lu said that I have a good eye, and she likes it very much, so I decided to use this method. Yu Liang smiled slightly, patted his mother on the shoulder, and said, Mom, I knew you could do it. Believe in yourself. Sure Hui nodded, and then came to a sudden, laughed and cursed. Stinky boy, I'm starting to tease your mother. Chapter 69, The Sixth Sense Danger, Go Fast. When Yu Liang finished his meal and left home for work, his mood is joyful. After donating a large sum of money to the kindergarten, some invisible benefits also follow. Yu Liang doesn't care about money. As long as it can make Yi and her parents happy, that's enough. Yu Liang believes that as long as the clothes are chosen by the mother, no matter how ugly it is, Teacher Lu will only praise it. When I arrived at the company, when I got into the elevator, I happened to meet Chen Tao and Yin Lin. These two rarely walk together and seemed to be discussing something. Seeing Yu Liang, Chen Tao nodded, and Yin Lin immediately smiled all over her face and greeted her. Yu Liang, you came so early. Have you eaten? Eat. Good morning, Supervisor Yin. Good morning, Master. Ah. Chen Tao hesitated for a moment before responding. He looked at Yin Lin in surprise. This old woman's eyes are usually higher than the top, and she is on a high-level path, so she was able to secure her position as the head of the purchasing department. When I saw colleagues in the company before, she was always on the shelf. Even for himself, the vice president, he was neither cold nor hot, neither humble nor overbearing. However, when he saw Yu Liang, he seemed to be a different person. Look at Yu Liang again. This kid is young and strong. As a result, Chen Tao's eyes gradually became strange. In the company, it is still the same as before. Yu Liang's position is very easy. Basically, there is no work. If it was before, Yu Liang would definitely be fishing for fish and reading the news. But today, he started to test the company's network security with great interest. After all, I just raised my skills to LV. If I can't show my skills, I always feel uncomfortable. The company's network had always been maintained by him. All the patches that can be played have been played, and the firewall has also been installed. He originally thought there was no loophole. However, looking at it now, it seems that it can still be optimized. So, one morning, Yu Liang was enthusiastically tinkering with this at his workstation. On the way, Chen Tao came in once. Seeing Yu Liang working on the computer with such concentration, he thought that Yu Liang had taken some private work. However, after walking behind Yu Liang and watching for a while, he immediately knew what this young man was doing. He glanced at Yu Liang in surprise. He couldn't figure it out. When did Yu Liang focus so much on his work? However, this is also a good thing. Of course, he will not say anything. At noon, Yu Liang checked that the work was almost done. So, I turned off the machine and sent a message among the three groups. Yu Liang, it's time to eat. Let's come out. Healing Long good. Helena. Here we come. It was as if everything came naturally. When they came downstairs, Yu Liang didn't ask them for their opinion. Take them to a meal point. This is a Sichuan restaurant. Ordinary Sichuan restaurants are relatively small stores, and the total number of chefs and waiters will not exceed 10 people. However, this Sichuan restaurant is a very famous chain store in Yongcheng. The taste is quite good, the price is relatively close to the people, and the business is extremely booming. When Yu Liang led the two into the Sichuan restaurant, the two sisters really showed satisfaction. They felt that Brother Yu was like a roundworm in their stomachs. He knew their tastes and what they wanted to eat at this time. Meals are served quickly, and so are they. Seeing that it was almost done, Yu Liang asked knowingly, "Why didn't you wear the new clothes you bought yesterday?" He wanted to ask if he had any underwear on, but after all, he didn't have the nerve to speak. He Linglong's face flushed slightly and said, "It's not suitable." He Lingna curled her lips and said, "Brother Yu, have you heard any gossip?" "What gossip?" That's right. He Lingna hesitated for a moment and said, "It's just that someone said that you are after me, sister." Someone asked her today if Yu Liang was chasing her or her sister. Of course, He Lingna pushed it all over her sister. He Linglong's face turned red immediately, and she said, "Who is chewing tongues?" Yu Liang also nodded and said, "Yes, who is talking nonsense?" After hearing this, the two sisters had different thoughts, and Yu Liang secretly said, "I am not pursuing your sister, but your sisters. It's just that this sentence can't be said now." Suddenly, Yu Liang's face changed slightly. He turned his head suddenly and looked towards the door. A strong, unprecedented sense of crisis suddenly rushed to my heart. It was an indescribable feeling. The intense stimulation instantly caused his adrenal glands to surge, and the hairs all over his body stood on end. Yu Liang has never experienced such a feeling. Even when I drove my car into a human trafficker, I didn't feel that way. Danger. There must be danger. And it's deadly. However, Yu Liang's sixth sense can only tell him that there is danger here. So hurry up. But where is the danger? Before it appeared, even he himself didn't know it. Yu Liang suddenly stood up and said, Shao he, let's eat, let's go." "What?" Although the two sisters were a little surprised, they stood up obediently. Generally speaking, the guests sit at the table and call the waiter to come and pay the bill. But Yu Liang couldn't wait to leave, so he took the two of them directly to the cashier. The cashier lady did some calculations and said, "The total is 385 yuan. Are you using Alipay or WeChat?" "Alipay." Yu Liang took out his mobile phone and scanned the QR code to pay. After finishing all this, the young lady introduced enthusiastically, "Sir, we have a recharge discount activity here. As long as you recharge 1,000 yuan, we will give you 100 yuan, and you can use it now." Yu Liang smiled slightly, not waiting for him to refuse. Suddenly, a scream was heard from behind. Then, the crowd became chaotic. Vaguely, they all heard someone shouting, "What? Killed?" Everyone looked at each other in blank dismay. I saw a young man coming out of the kitchen behind. In his hand, he held a chef's knife. The blade was dripping with blood. This person's complexion is ferocious, his eyes are red, and he seems to have lost his mind. Then, with a sudden roar, he slashed at the person closest to him. The crowd screamed and fled in all directions. The two sisters also turned pale with fright and were at a loss. Chapter 70, Seeing Blood. Kill with a knife? The moment I saw this person, Yu Liang had already ascertained where his sense of danger came from. However, he never thought that he would encounter such a strange thing after just eating a meal. Turn on visual virtualization. Yu Liang made his choice without hesitation, although it seems that it is too late to pull the twins and run immediately. However, Yu Liang did so without hesitation. Nothing is more important than a small life. Aren't skills and items just points? As long as you spend hard, there will definitely be ones in the future. But there is only one life. Immediately, the virtual operation interface appeared in front of his eyes. What should you do when you face a murder with a knife? Nonsense, of course it is to choose people with strong martial arts and fighting skills, and then copy their skills. Using skill duplication, the group finds the person with the strongest fighting skills. A suitable candidate has been found for the host. Please see the picture below. There are more than 10 people in the interface. Not one person, but more than 10 people? Yu Liang didn't care about being surprised anymore, so he randomly ordered a middle-aged man to enter. Different from Yu Liang's imagination, this middle-aged man is not tall and big, nor is he covered in muscle bumps. He has a slender figure and a perfect figure of 223, exuding an indescribable sense of harmony. Among the skills below this person, there is a skill shining with golden light. Tai Chi LV 5. One more person was ordered. It was a big man in his 30s. Below this person, there is also a golden skill flashing. Bajiquan LV 5. Yu Liang immediately understood that the remaining 10 or so people were also masters who had practiced some kind of boxing skills to the extreme. What? It was another miserable scream. At this time, the young man with the kitchen knife cut another person. Then, he raised his head, looked around with those eyes that were almost bleeding, and suddenly rushed straight towards the cashier. When Yu Liang was paying the bill, Sister He Linglong was standing not far behind him. But at this moment, it turned into the young man rushing towards their sisters with a kitchen knife in his hand. The two little ones trembled in fright, knowing that they should run away, far away at this time. But their feet seemed to be filled with lead water, and there was no way they could move at all. Not good. Without thinking, Yu Liang selected a person and used him. It seems that the magic hard disk has also judged that the situation is critical at this moment, and it is not allowed to ask in detail. So, this time I didn't even ask questions. A huge amount of knowledge poured into Yu Liang's body like a revelation. This is the second time Yu Liang has tasted the empowerment. It was just that moment, as if it was less than a second. Yu Liang is already a different person. A Taijiquan master who has practiced in winter and 9 in summer and has practiced uninterruptedly for more than 30 years. Yu Liang raised his head and looked at the young man who rushed towards him fiercely. In the hands of this young man, he held a kitchen knife with blood dripping on it, which was extremely terrifying. A few seconds ago, Yu Liang was the same as the people here, feeling his heart beat faster, dripping with cold sweat. His hands and feet were numb, and his whole body was weak. But at this time, his heart has already calmed down, because in his eyes, although this young man looks fierce and abnormal, however, his actions were full of flaws. It's just a kitchen knife, not a weapon at all. If you change to a bayonet, butcher knife, B******** G knife, butterfly knife, and so on, Yu Liang might still care a little bit. However, just a kitchen knife? Didn't he know that with swords, stabbing can kill people? If it is just cutting, then unless you meet unreasonable strong men like Xiang Bawang and Li Yuanba, it is very difficult to hack people to death. Therefore, this kid looks fierce, but he is actually a layman. Yu Liang, who has completely calmed down, has countless ways to take him off in one fell swoop. CCDG. Moreover, Yu Liang at this time also saw the Vajra talisman in the inventory. If it is activated, even bullets and shells can't hurt him, let alone a mere kitchen knife. It's just that there is no need to waste such a good thing now. With a movement of his figure, Yu Liang's body already swam up like a fish, like a civet cat, and within a few steps, he was already in front of the two of them, blocking the twin sisters behind. With a sneer on his face, his hand was like lightning, and the fingers were retracted, like a crane's beak, like an eagle's claw, and it was towards the young man's wrist. As long as you hold it straight, it is guaranteed that this guy's arm will no longer be able to hold anything in a short time. However, just when he was about to hit it, Yu Liang felt a sudden movement in his heart. What? What a great opportunity! Wouldn't it be a pity if it wasn't used? Then his gesture changed immediately. The right hand changed from a peck to a block, and still walked along the young man's knife. Puff! With one blow, a long cut was drawn immediately. The blood splattered everywhere, reddening his vision. Most people block knives with their hands, because their arms have flesh and bones, and most they will be cut. As for cutting off the arm, that was really delusional. Masters who can cut off human arms with ordinary kitchen knives will basically not be chefs. At least, this young man definitely can't do it. However, Yu Liang's block was extremely skillful. He was afraid that the kitchen knife was too blunt, and the blood he pulled out would not be long enough. Therefore, when the flesh touches the kitchen knife, It is deliberately lifted upwards. This mention is very knowledgeable. With a mention, by the way, the Li Huang that was chopped off was removed. Therefore, this knife seems to be seriously injured with blood flowing. But it's actually not that deep at all. It's just that when humans bleed, it looks terrible. Even if it's 50 cubic centimeters of blood, it's a shockingly large piece when it's spread out. But in fact, when people donate blood, at least 200 cc should be pumped. After being stabbed, the satisfied Yu Liang no longer hides his clumsiness. The left hand shot out with a bang. Tai Chi, when practiced, seems limp and powerless. But in fact, this is an internal boxing method that has been passed down by the Dragon Kingdom for thousands of years. Its power is so great that it cannot be underestimated. Use LV 5 Tai Chi to deal with a young man who has lost his mind. It is simply overkill. Boom! A punch focused on the young man's head. The young man staggered and fell to the ground immediately. Even the kitchen knife in his hand flew out. Then, he struggled a few times trying to get up,